Brisbane and Melbourne City into the top 6 with 3 points today. Plenty of fans braving the conditions. It's been a hot day in Gosford today. The conditions are changing though, with some potential wet weather on the way later in the match, but certainly both sides will be desperate for 3 points. Of course, the Victory looking to make the most of that win last week against Sydney FC, well, only 6 days ago on public holiday Monday. There is Jason Davidson with the captain's armband on the Isuzu UTE A-League tunnel cam, and all smiles as well. The Victory skipper, although there will be another Victory skipper in this matchday squad with Roderick Miranda fit again, and a new Mariners captain this afternoon as well. The veteran Andrew Redmayne wearing the armband. We will get to the lineups in just a few moments, but the 37-year-old playing in game number 291 in the Isuzu UTE A-League men's competition this evening will wear the armband for the Central Coast Mariners. Nathan Paul is back in the side after coming off the bench last week, but he has given up those captaincy duties to Andrew Redmayne with Bradley Tapp back on the bench. And I understand that the Mariners club captain, Trent Sainsbury, is only a couple of weeks away from returning from that long injury layoff with an Achilles injury. So both sides just about in readiness to make their way out onto Polytech Stadium, and flanked by the Gosford City Dragons, who will be operating as the mascots this afternoon as well. A big moment for the kids and for their mums and dads and coaches and players at the club as well. And both teams will line up this afternoon in an afternoon that has been the end of a week that has been clouded in sadness, of course, with the passing of one of Australian football's stalwarts this week, of course, Rado Vidicic, who had a long coaching career in the Isuzu UTE A-League's men's competition and women's competition. Of course, he was an assistant at Melbourne Victory a decade ago, and our thoughts, of course, go with his son Dario and the rest of the Vidicic family.
The Australian football community is deeply saddened to learn of the passing of Rado Vidicic. Rado lives an enduring legacy on our game, inspiring and empowering men's and women's players across our leagues for almost 2 decades. A premiership and championship winning coach, Rado's legacy is well felt beyond the pitch. A friendly, kind-hearted and much loved football person who works tirelessly to improve players, coaches and staff around him. We join the wider football community in remembering Rado and extend our heartfelt thoughts and condolences to his family and loved ones. In recognition of his contribution to the game, we ask if you are able to please stand for a moment of applause for Rado Vidicic.
A wonderful moment's applause by the crowd here at Central Coast Stadium, and the loss of a wonderful man at 64 years of age, of course, most recently at Brighton with his son Dario. Let's have a look at the two sides this afternoon. Warren Moon makes 2 changes to the starting side. Nathan Paul is back in for the first time since returning from the Under-23s Asian Cup off the bench last week. Sabit Nyor returns to the starting side. Brad Tapp is dropped back to the bench after a heavy workload, according to Warren Moon this campaign. Japanese striker Kaito Taniguchi may get some late minutes and a potential debut as well for 19-year-old Jacob Nasso. No place for Diesel Harrington or Will Kennedy in the matchday squad. Well, Ollie Laval has had a wonderful start to life in Mariners colours. A double last week against Auckland, and of course scoring 3 in 6 for South Melbourne in the Australian Championship campaign. The Victorian boy maybe just sneaking across the border under the eyes of the Victory. Let's have a look at the Melbourne Victory. No surprise that Arthur Dillis sticks solid Off the back of that 4-0 Big Blue win, Jack Wachowski continues in goal for the 4th straight week. The 21-year-old is a Mariners Academy alumni. And Matt Grimaldi makes his 2nd straight start after not previously featuring in the 11 since round 6. Roderick Miranda is fit again after missing the last 3 games. Japanese striker Charles Nduka could come off the bench as well, fresh from his arrival from J3 club Kagoshima United. There's no space for Reno Piscopo and Josh Insera. Claris Mario Santos, what a start to this season he has had. 4 in this campaign, including that double against Sydney on Monday. He's 5th on the list of shots this season, so I wonder if he could give the Mariners some trouble. Warren Moon has put everyone on notice this week that performance at training and games is key. And he's only lost once in 12 games as a manager against Melbourne Victory. Arthur Dillis was delighted with that performance against Sydney, but he warns it can't be a one-off. He knows the Mariners only too well as a Jets assistant. He lost 5 of 6 F3 derbies between 21 and 23. And Tim Danaskos in charge for game number 43 in the A-League. Emma Kobek and Matty Allam, his assistants. Eric Saba, the 4th official. And there you can see Carney Robinson, the VAR. And he will be assisted by Sam Kelly back at HQ this afternoon. So just about all in readiness. Ali Agla continuing his start as a new Mariner. Of course, starting in a more central role over the first week, but he's gradually shifted wider. And what about this guy, Juan Mata? He was electric on Monday afternoon, 3 assists. And this will be a big test for the Central Coast Mariners to try to keep the 37-year-old legend. Chris Donnell will have a big part to play in that. The former Fulham Premier League 2 captain. He has started impressively in his life in yellow and navy as well. So we're all in readiness this afternoon. The Central Coast Mariners looking to find themselves off the bottom of the ladder. The Melbourne Victory haven't won at Polytech Stadium in their past 7 visits, dating back 7 years. Andy Harper alongside me in commentary this afternoon. Harps, good evening to you. Can that change this afternoon?
It's been a season of change, Glenn. Good afternoon to you. A blustery afternoon here. A really stiff breeze blowing off directly off the Brisbane water. It's been another fantastic round, some great football, big results. What about those Jets, and Sydney silencing some critics and perhaps a little bit of self-doubt with a smashing of the Wanderers last night. Very powerful display from Sydney. And here we get to the game to finish things off for this round. Already over halfway through the season. Where's it gone?
Time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure, in the Isuzu UTE A-League men's competition. And what a result for Perth. Late show against Auckland last night as well. It has been a wonderful round of Isuzu UTE A-League men's action. They call the Jets the box office Jets. I reckon most clubs are on the same billing at the moment because you can't miss a minute of the action. And Mariners and the Victory will be looking to continue the excitement this afternoon. James Donachie has been vastly experienced for the Mariners since coming in halfway through the season, missing the first few games with concussion, but it's been ever present since his injection in this Mariners squad. Alfie McCalmont, much improved this season as well in the middle of the park for the Central Coast. And now the Victory will look to get the ball at their feet. Juan Mata just misses out there to McCalmont, but the Victory will look to get the ball down through Mata again. He might even think about having a shot there, but it was well out in front of him and dealt with by Nathan Paul. Bit of pinball around here so far. Jason Davidson can get it on the deck. And now he's able to link up with Santos. So good for the Victory. Getting right across both sides of the field. Lockie Jackson has had a wonderful season as well. So short at the back. Here's Mata with some space. And Santos can't quite control that one. Storm Brewer gives it straight back to Mata. And now Davidson with the ball into the 6-yard box. Chance here for the Victory to score early. Grimaldi was right there, but it was scrambled away in the end by Lucas Moragas. Well, only 2.5 minutes into this one, we've seen some early goals this weekend, and the Victory almost had one of their own there.
Almost, and should have. Lovely from Mata to Davidson, who took the attack to the next level. Beautiful from Davidson, and it was just sitting there waiting. The bounce was really unkind. It should be acknowledged for Matt Grimaldi, but still an amazing chance for Victory. Early on,
One of those ones, I think, where Grimaldi didn't know whether to, or what part of his body to use in the end. Whether it was going to be a tap in or whether he was going to try to chest it in as McCalmont puts the ball over the top. But that's a heavy one in the breeze. And Jack Wachowski, saw him before the game, chatting to a few of his former Mariners Academy alumni. Guys like Bailey Brantman and Bradley Tapp, Nathan Paul, spending time in the Mariners Academy with Wachowski, keeping Jack Duncan out of this victory side as they look to change direction. Jean Rowe goes left-hand side. Santos, nice feet, dinks one over the top for Mata to put that one over the bar. He couldn't control that one with the byline coming quickly, and it'll be a goal kick.
Well, he had time to measure that one, Mata, as this was the first offering. And what I liked and what's instructive about that action and why I highlighted Juan Mata in the initial discussion was the efficiency of the pass, the smoothness of the pass. No bobbles, just a clean hit, put it on a tee for Jason Davidson. Unfortunately, it's taking the likes of Juan Mata, Luke Braddon, Anthony Caceres. I mean, there's a number of other players, but it's not standard. That the pass is just so smoothly hit, no pressure. It just helps your teammate do their job next. That was the point of that reference. Davidson delivered. Unfortunately, his right foot wasn't nearly as good when Santos clipped that ball to the back post just a second ago.
Rawlins and Dorigo linking up on the right-hand side now. Mata heavily involved again, but the Mariners bring it back through Moragas. Calmont links up with Nior down that left-hand channel. Laval does well to control the heavy ball through, and it ends up with Nior again. Tight spaces. He wins the throw for his side. Esposito just putting it over the touchline. Vocal travelling victory support. Cheering their side on. Donnell putting one over the top, but once again it is too heavy, and the Mariners, on the rare occasion that they have looked to get into the final third, the last pass has not been on the mark. Breeze coming off the Brisbane water, heading towards the northern end of Polytech Stadium, so the Mariners into the breeze in this first half, struggling to get the weight right. Mariners looking to go 3 games unbeaten for the first time this season. Santos looking to thread the needle there for Mata, but Nathan Paul was there to interject. You're asking plenty of questions on that left-hand side back in the starting lineup this afternoon. Interesting decision from Warren Moon to leave Bradley Tapp out of the starting 11. I spoke to Warren Moon before the game, and he insisted that he expects him back very, very soon. He said that it's been a heavy workload. Brad Tapp, of course, a 25-year-old, one of only 7 outfielders to have played every single minute of their campaigns until this afternoon. And, of course, with the arrival of Chris Donnell and the return of Nathan Paul from Asian Cup duty, does give Warren Moon that luxury to give Brad Tapp a spell. Long ball over the top from Paul, trying to find DePizio, but it's well cut out by Esposito. And the Agla wins it back for the Mariners. Give away by the victory in the middle of the park. Still going Agla. He can't get his pass on target to Nior. And the victory will start again through Davidson. Mata getting involved again, and nice ball there for Jean Rowe. It'll look to release Rawlins. Gets towards the edge of the area, and that one's just a little too close to Andrew Redmayne.
Yeah, there's a fluency about Victory at the moment. Why wouldn't there be after their big win last weekend? But 1-2 passes, and they're right at the throat of the Mariners, who are turning the ball over a little too much for their liking, I'm sure.
Yeah, that was Donnell, and now a long-range attempt from Grimaldi. Redmayne can only parry into the path of Virgos, and the Mariners will have to scramble this one clear. And that was Donnell who gave the ball away and gave the Victory a side on goal. Here they come again. Mata with space. McCalmont tries to shut him down. He gets through to Virgos. Now Santos to keep this one in from the byline, and Storm Roo against his former club puts it out for a throw.
Wanta feeding the ball out nicely again. Just the advantage position. All Grimaldi has to do, and this is the point, all he has to do is receive it properly. He gets the shot on. And the lead up of the pass, it looks so simple, but it comes from a basis of I'm giving the ball to my teammate so that he's in an advantage position, not so that he has to dig himself out of a hole and then do something.
Well, now he's involved again, linking up with Rawlins down that right channel. All the way back to Esposito, Torrigo and Rawlins. Yeah, the Victory midfield really pulling the strings. Grimaldi and Mata have looked really dangerous to start this game. They lead the A-League for shots as well, do the Victory. Only 7th when it comes to on target though, so Arthur Dillis will be hoping that the rangefinders are accurate this afternoon. Now the dink over the top for Virgos from Jean Rowe. Virgos tries to turn and shoot in a tight space, but Redmayne is down quickly.
Caught the ball down nicely, Virgos. This is not easy to do. Defenders converging on him. Jason Davidson felt like he was free for the back heel. Maybe Storm Roo had that cut off. In any event, the effort ultimately from Virgos was a quite tame one, but more promising signs for the visitors. I think your reference early, Glenn, to Savignon, the way he started the game, and even before that, how well Oliver Val has settled, should be enough for the Victory to stay alert, because in broken play they can hurt.
Yeah, Nyor just wins the ball back for the Mariners as well, and it almost finds its way through to Miggy DePizio. Nyor won the ball off Dorigo there in midfield. Certainly Melbourne Victory had looked much more likely in the opening 10 minutes of this one. Jean Rowe takes it over halfway. They have only scored 6 of their 20 goals before half-time this season, so maybe the boil is a slow one. It's certainly bubbling at the moment. And now the long-range effort from Grimaldi. Gets the deflection and goes out for a corner.
Yes. Signs of confidence again from Grimaldi. He's hit one nicely to force a save off Redmayne. That one would have done the same, but for the deflection of defenders beforehand.
You know he doesn't mind going from long range, Grimaldi. That goal he scored in the Melbourne derby. Here's the corner, the in-swinger. Redmayne punches. It's a decent punch as well towards the edge of the area. But the Victory can recycle through that man, Grimaldi. Redmayne had to get a decent fist on that one. Grimaldi's ball in, but there's no white shirts, and Redmayne is happy to let that one go past his far post for a goal kick.
Happily, so very happy to see that one sail by Andrew Redmayne. They can just take stock now.
Well, let's get down to Nalene Mastu for the first time on the sideline. Good afternoon, Nalene.
Good afternoon, gents. Well, I can tell you firsthand it's incredibly intense on the sidelines. Arthur Dillis incredibly vocal to his players. There was a moment where Denny Jean Rowe played a backwards pass and immediately yelled out to keep looking forward. And I can tell you Victory have already had 29 passes in the final third. They have ranked first all season as well for passes in the front three, as we see here. Under pressure.
Ominous sign, isn't it, Nalene, already for the Mariners with that statistic. Appreciate that. You're right, the Mariners are trying to mount some pressure of their own. Through Lucas Moragas now. Looks to thread the needle for Laval. Laval shows plenty of physical power there to keep the ball off Esposito. Muir keeping it alive for the Central Coast. Ollie Laval, really impressive since his debut here against MacArthur 2 weeks ago. That double against Auckland. The back end of the first half, back end of the second half. The flag goes up for Storm Roo and he knows about it. I'm not sure whether the dubious goals panel would have been happy to keep Ollie Laval in possession of that second goal. Michael Vowd may have thrown it over, and you can see there that Storm Roo clearly offside. But yeah, that interjections into the Mariners' final third would be worrying. Warren Moon.
Well, it sense exactly why Andrew Redmayne took that extra little bit of time to set that restart up from the goal kick. His beard's long enough now to be a weather vane. When that breeze is kicking in, the beard's at 30 degrees.
I think it grew an extra centimetre or two as well in the time taken to take that goal kick. One back again by the Victory in the midfield. Here's Santos and Davidson. Patient build-up. They can start again from the back. Yeah, when that went out, there was a little pump of the fist as well from Andrew Redmayne. So, you know you're up against it when you're fist pumping a goal kick 13 minutes into the game. As Mata finds the ball into the middle, and it's a good save from Redmayne. He wasn't to know that that was probably going to miss the back post from Burgos. Didn't quite get the head he wanted onto it, but Redmayne needed to be at full stretch.
Quality of the pass again. Look at this. I mean, it's at a good length too, and he adjusted nicely. Burgos, of whom there's been a mix of applause for his goal scoring and criticism for his lack of goals. He's had to endure and enjoy both. And that was a crafty little effort from the Greek. Beautiful delivery from Juan Mata.
Speaking of whom, this one's a driving one to the penalty spot and waiting for it. Maybe that was a training ground move. Rawlins was the only one there, and he had plenty of time, but he puts it wide. Well, Burgos has started to find his feet now, hasn't he? 5 goals in his last 7 after a quiet start of the season. So maybe it just has taken time for the radar. And look at this one, the vision from Mata.
Yeah, and Rawlins has just misjudged the flight of that. A step forward, he gets it on the volley. That was the intention, but he hasn't missed a beat as a Victory player. Just been a really astute piece of work, and Arthur Dillis has been encouraged enough, emboldened enough to build the team in an offensive sense around Juan Mata. But actually it's more than that. Mata has, by the testimony of his own teammates, proven his ability still at 38 to get round the field. They're all jaw-droppingly impressed with his fitness levels. It's been fantastic to watch, actually. We've all benefited from Melbourne Victory's decision to sign Juan Mata and the team. I mean, they're not at the pointy end of the comp where they believe they want to be, and historically most of the time have been, but there's signs that they can get there for sure.
It's quite remarkable to think at the start of the season, Arthur Dillis wasn't sure if he was going to be fit to start the season. He arrived late, Juan Mata midway through the pre-season, and Dillis, by his own admission, as Ali Agla thinks about striking from long range, plenty to do there. Miggy DiPizio now with a spectacular, but Jack Wachowski is able to see that one go past his left hand upright. He was worried for a moment there, Wachowski, and that would have been spectacular.
Well, look at the couple of quick little steps Wachowski has to make. It's a speculator from DiPizio, and there was that mini scramble from Wachowski. Am I going to get caught here? And then there's a more than passing sigh of relief as the ball drops past the upright.
To this campaign for Miggy DiPizio. Some media speculation about rival A-League clubs being interested. Perth Glory has been one that has been mentioned. Whether it is just media speculation or not, the window remains open. Here he is again, still in yellow and navy at the moment. The ball can't find a way through to Muir, and Rawlins does well to shield the body and win the free kick. Sambit Muir will protest the decision and continue to do so. But the push in the back sends Rawlins to the ground.
Well, those free kicks are worth it for irritating the defender, not for irritating the referee. I mean, it's a safe part of the field. Rawlins knows next time that Newell's around, he's going to have to be on his toes. But you don't have to get into a stink with the ref. That only ends in the favour of one person.
It's well done from Chris Donnell to win it back for the Mariners, and it's more of a speculative ball forward. And the Victory will win another free kick here. Just a coming together there between Miggy DiPizio in the middle of the park and also Luis Dorigo. Warren Moon thought that one over the touchline. I thought it might have stayed in. The assistant Emma Kobeck on this near side is happy to let it continue. The ball over the top is picked up by Andrew Redmayne. Quite remarkably, the Victory haven't scored when it comes to their last 9 goals before stoppage time in the first half. That's one of those Louis Dorigo against Adelaide, and then every one of the other 8 goals have all come in the second half. And Ollie Laval goes down clutching his right leg as he tried to get the ball away. Santos picks it up. Storm Roux comes across and wins the ball back well off the Brazilian. Laval's back on his feet. Esposito wins the ball back for the Victory, only momentarily. And now Lucas Moragas has some space for the Mariners down the left-hand side. Rawlins comes across and Moragas gets the deflection and wins the corner for his side.
So the Mariners have lost possession cheaply on a couple of occasions, and they'll want to fix that. But what they have done well when they've had the chance is break quickly. And they've got enough speed in the front line with goals to their names to remain worried about that. Last attack was another good example. Moragas down the left-hand side on this occasion, winning the corner. Let's see what McCalmont can deliver.
It'll be an in-swinging delivery towards the near post. Oh, Wachowski comes and can't claim, but everyone misses it, and it goes over the byline for a goal kick. I think the wind might have played havoc there.
Oh. Santos went and missed. Wachowski's gone to the corner shot for the milk and forgotten it. Very, very lucky.
I think Wachowski was almost expecting Santos to make that header, and then once Santos missed it, Wachowski had to try to recover quickly, but you can't just assume something's going to happen in front of you. Grimaldi again. Heavy pressure from McCalmont. Sees the ball back with the Mariners. Sliding in is Denny Genreau for a Mariners throw. Another interception for him. Equal 4th in the league for interceptions is Denny Genreau. Of course, returning last week after that suspension against Adelaide. Another good acquisition returning to the A-League men's competition, Moragas. As Donnell and Roux to switch the play up. Aliagla has it now. He wanted it a little earlier. He puts the ball over the top, and once again, it's one of those deliveries towards the final third that is just way too heavy for Laval to chase down. And Warren Moon urging Aliagla to push forward. Get that high press on the Victory. Now a good ball over the top from Davidson for Santos, but Redmayne is out quickly, and it just skidded on, allowing the Mariners custodian to get there in front of the Brazilian. The wily nature of the Mariners goalkeeper just allowing the momentum to die down a little bit there from the Victory. Donnell is tall timber in the centre of the park. Denny Jean-Rowe, diminutive. Might call for a step ladder at half-time. It's the ball over the top from McCalmont for DePizio. Esposito didn't know much about it. He did get the block in. James Donachie, of course, a former Victory player. Scored his only goal for the Victory against the Mariners in 73 starts. Donnell, good run forward, still going is Chris Donnell, but he loses out to Davidson. Probably just tried to do a little too much. And now the defensive midfielder is slightly out of place as Davidson pushes forward, but that is a ball that Santos would have liked on the platter.
Unfortunately for Victory and for Davidson, his second last contribution was the long ball over the top. It's too hard. This one encouraging players. He looks right, and Grimaldi was free on the right. He went for what should have been a higher percentage option. He'd miss-hit that one too. It's a period for the Mariners now, enjoying some possession, whilst it's the Victory who cough and splutter.
They do shade possession, the Mariners, 51-49. And yeah, that was a really good opportunity to break there for the Victory, wasn't it? If Santos had the ball at his feet, you got the feeling that there would have been plenty for the Mariners defensive unit to do. Encouraging signs for the Central Coast with news that Trent Sainsbury is edging closer to a return. They're away to Brisbane next week. And a break, and then maybe a home game against the Wanderers could mark a return, potentially, for the long-serving Socceroo, who started his career here in Gosford. Here's Esposito. Dorigo. The Mariners looking to press. Outler joining that front line of three in defence, and he does well. Outler, and the last touch comes off Jason Davidson as well. Even a pat on the back from Arthur Dillis. Real arm wrestle here. 20 minutes to go in the opening half. Joking about it before the game that a week is a long time in football. Of course, Sydney FC bouncing back from that Big Blue defeat, conceding 4 on Monday, scoring 4 only 5 days later. And the Victory so far unable to break down this Central Coast side. DePizio gives the ball away though. Esposito linking up with Rawlins, and now Juan Mata has 2 on him. Tries to put one through for Burgos. Nathan Paul is there. Wow, Ollie Laval now. If he can get a good touch here and go towards goal, great opportunity for Ollie Laval. No one in support though. He found himself marooned at the top end, and he couldn't get that touch that may have got a shot away.
And so far, we won't get this tested now, but the judge will have been onside. And that's the danger we discussed for Victory.
Here's Newell. Goes towards the byline. Cuts back towards the 6-yard box. Davidson is able to scramble it only as far as Matt Grimaldi. Newell pressing as well. The rain starts to fall in Gosford. Nathan Paul misjudges that header. Redmayne is a long way out to sweep. You see the ball hanging in the air as well. Plenty of wind from that southern end. Davidson with space again for the Victory. Plays the ball along the deck to Mata. Good intervention again from Donnell. Been in the right place on a few occasions tonight. And now the Mariners. A game of transitions at the moment. Moragas through for Laval. Can't get the touch again. And Muir once again brings down Rawlins. A good little battle over on that side.
Well, the pendulum has certainly seemed to have swung the way of the Mariners so far. Victory have been able to trouble the goalkeeper at this stage more so than the Mariners. Wachowski just with that one moment of doubt, otherwise untested. But that's not to say in any sense that the Central Coast have not been building their case. It's been a good combative performance from both teams. Ball retention has been a little bit of an issue from time to time. But The battle is certainly on here in Gosford.
Well, that fan was happy enough. Not only did he have an umbrella, he had someone to hold it for him. Agla dinking over the top for Moragas. Nice touch. Laval with his back towards goal, and it just allows Esposito in. Moragas goes to ground. In fact, it was McAlmont, and Moragas does the chasing. Dorigo just holds the play up, and another pass that doesn't quite find the feet of Jean Rowe.
Well, the ball should have gone forward, in behind Moragas for Vergos at the first instance. This is the sort of thing that Arthur Dillis and Nali reported to us, how irritated he was getting when the forward pass option was not taken by players, and that was a clear example. Vergos was away, in behind the Mariners' back four.
The Victory can push forward again. Mata on the ball. Grimaldi making a run, but it goes to Davidson. Patient in their build-up. And that has a lot to do with the way the Mariners have been pressing. The third man in that defensive attack. James Donachie is able to head it clear. Is that a thing? Defensive attack. Juan Mata. Jean Rowe with space. Will he think about shooting? He does. The curling effort. Redmayne's beaten, and so is the crossbar. Sails millimetres past Redmayne's gloves and over the goals at the northern end. What a strike.
Beautiful from Jean Rowe. It swirled, it dipped, and without wind assistance, there was a strange lull in the breeze that's been blowing. That's all the work of Denis Jean Rowe. But just over.
Andrew Redmayne once again slowing things down. While he does so, let's get back down to Narleen.
Thanks, Glenn. Well, a bit of a weather update. It is raining and the wind favouring Melbourne Victory, as we see with that shot taken. But there has been some thunderstorm activity within 20 kilometres of the venue. If it is within 10 Ks, that's when potentially a 30-minute delay could come into play, which would mean play suspended. But hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't get to that stage. But certainly, what a cracking half it's been so far.
Yeah, it'd be disastrous if the weather does bring a halt to proceedings, given the excitement we've had at both ends.
Yeah, right on both counts, Narleen. We certainly don't want the game to stop for a whole pile of reasons, and most of which is because it's been a cracking game.
Well, that was a wonderful effort from Denis Jean Rowe. Here they come again, the Victory, and the Mariners through Nathan Paul and Chris Donnell had to be on their toes to stop Grimaldi, who was making another incisive run into the area. He's been really good tonight. Now Juan Mata again. Vergos lays it off for Grimaldi. Left-footed strike, gets a deflection, but it bounces kindly for Redmayne. Now it's the Victory's turn.
They just never really settled for any of the Victory players, but that pass from Esposito, Rawlins it was actually, forward and in behind, which opened the attack, was exactly the pass he should have done last possession for Vergos. Well, if the word got out to him, he's a fast learner. Well done, Josh, because that started a really good opportunity for Melbourne Victory. Well defended by the Central Coast to see away the danger.
McAlmont for Nior. Savit-Nior couldn't get the touch, and Nior again bringing down Dorigo on that occasion on the far side. Third foul that the Mariners wingers given away this evening. Just wonder if Tim Danaskis is keeping count. Savit-Nior just the one booking so far this season. Rain not falling quite as heavily as it was a few minutes ago, but it is still continuing to come down. Greasy surface. Speaking to Tom, the head groundsman, earlier this afternoon, saying little rain since the deluge 2 weeks ago against MacArthur has made it a really hard and fast track. right, a heavy collision between DePizio and Jean Rowe. The feet collided. Jean Rowe's back to his feet. Here they come. Again, the victory. Rawlinson now, the ball over the top from Mata. I don't think Rue quite knew where that headed clearance was going, but fortuitously it went to Algler. And Algler's swept away, straight back to the victory. Warren Moon was just clutching his head there. Another giveaway as the Mariners try to clear their lines.
Don't open up, Chrissy!
Tanel winning it back for the Mariners in the midfield. DePizio heads it on for Algler. Ali Algler will look to go towards Lockie Jackson. Can he cut onto that left foot? Ali Algler, what a strike that is! That is an amazing goal from Ali Algler, who ran straight at Lockie Jackson and then used the curl of the left boot to put it in the back of the net past Jack Wyshorski, who had absolutely no chance in the Mariners. After a seesawing opening 34 minutes, take the lead 1-0.
Well, we mentioned DePizio, who helps it on here, and Laval, but just quietly on the right flank with this left foot waiting to be launched was Ali Algler. Beautiful work, Harvey Norman replay. Very comfortable, squares up the defender. It was a transition moment that was always going to likely hurt victory. And the first shot on target for the Mariners, and counts. It's an excellent piece of execution from the new Mariner, Ali Algler. It's a piece of wonder with that left foot. Beautiful work.
He's taken that with aplomb. It is some finish, so calm on the ball. He scored in every single one of Sydney Olympics Australian Championship campaign matches, 6 in 6. He was the golden boot. And in his third match back in the A-League, Ali Algler has one to remember. What a nonchalant strike that was. Victory will have to play from behind. They could get one straight away here. Virgos and Donachie are wrestling for the ball. Donachie had his arms around him. There's absolutely no question from Virgos. A good battle. But the victory went straight up that end and tried to get one back. It's only the 4th time this season the Mariners have scored first. They've had to come from behind 3 times in their last 2 matches. They'll play from the front this evening.
DePizio doing well, skipping clear. There's the foul, but there was an advantage to be played. I think the Mariners leapt off their bench as one, the technical staff. Life's great when you're winning.
Warren Moon just retracting the criticism of the 4th official, Eric Saba there. And now Moragas has plenty of space. The ball through for Savignor is a good one. Straining back there with every sinew and getting back to slide in Josh Rawlins. He puts it out for a corner, but a really important interjection.
Clean, direct, efficient. In behind, that's the killer ball. In behind, man, Rawlins does really well to recover. He was way behind at the turn, so that you just didn't have that extra little bit of roll for him to make the contact he needed. Victory exposed again.
Another corner for the Mariners. Alfie McCalmont. Plenty of activity in the box. The victory missed the last one. Wyshorski punches under pressure from Laval. Does really well, Wyshorski, to get a hand on that. They can break clear again here, but it's just not controlled by Virgos. If Virgos could have controlled that, he was a long way out, almost one-on-one. Hard to call from that distance. Certainly the Central Coast would have been scrambling. Been a good battle between Mata and Donnell. Jason Davidson, a little bit of frustration starting to creep in. Santos does maintain possession. Rawlins was a little bit on his heels there, but he recovered to maintain possession for the victory. Dorigo looking for options. Arthur Dillis saying after that game last week that it can't be a one-off, the 4-0 victory. We're still a work in progress. And although they've shown industry this afternoon, you get the feeling that that work is continuing to progress. Take nothing away from the Central Coast, though. They've made the victory work hard. Here's Mata again. Gets away from Donnell on that occasion. Grimaldi tries to head the ball down and then cuts back, but unfortunately for Louis Dorigo, he was just leaning a little too far back, and it goes well over the bar.
Mata with a low trajectory. Grimaldi's header was headed for the centre forward position, but the deflection ended up at the feet of Josh Rawlins. Didn't have the necessary technique in that short interaction to navigate the ball goalward.
Now then, 5 minutes left in this opening half. The weather is continuing to bear down in Gosford. Lightning strikes will be what the officials are looking out for. The match commissioner, Kirsten Rock, will be keeping a close eye on things. Nikos Virgos. Esposito. Right-hand side for Rawlins. Now Donnell for Tizio. Can he get past Esposito? Good work from the victory defender. Davidson. Dorigo does well to get away from Laval and link up with Mata. Here's Santos. Still looking likely here, aren't they, the victory? Jason Davidson. Nice little thread of the needle for Santos. That pair linking up on the left-hand side. Davidson goes to ground after getting past Ali Akla, and now Tim Danaskos is calling a halt to proceedings with just over 4 minutes left in the first half. With lightning around in Gosford, the rain is continuing to fall, and it does mean that there will be a delay of at least half an hour, and that delay will reset every time that there is a lightning strike. If you look over towards the east of Polytech Stadium, you can see there is some bright spots, but it is coming from that dark southerly direction, and with a half an hour delay in proceedings in this opening half, there will be just under 5 minutes of play in the first half once we do resume at Polytech Stadium. But we spoke about it, Andy Harper, only a few minutes ago, how disappointing it would be, not only, of course, for the fact that the game gets delayed for half an hour, but because of how entertaining the opening half of football has been so far. What an arm wrestle.
Yeah, it's been a good game, a good tussle. Victory have had more of the direct efforts on goal, but it's the Mariners who have the lead with that beautiful goal from Ali Ogla, and the Mariners offered plenty of fight and some good football in between times as well. So really nicely set. I mean, it is a bizarre situation now, because we'll see what unfolds. But this is the moment that the goal has come. It's poor transition again defensively. So Victory had the ball, cheap giveaway, very slow recovery from the men in white, but that didn't matter in the end anyway, because it was Ali Ogla, that beautiful left foot of his, doing the business. I mean, that's so sloppy. There's no other word for it. Very, very sloppy. The recovery's not dynamite, but the finish, if I may say, is lightning.
I just think, yeah, thanks, Hubs. I think the less lightning talk, the better at the moment. However, poor old Lockie Jackson, after Esposito gives the ball away, most defenders would expect the man bearing down to cut back onto that left foot and try to get around them. But Ali Agler has hit that so directly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, you go back on that tape and football can be a game of millimetres. So Lockie Jackson not at fault for the goal, except as he defends that. He's got to stop Ali Agler's shot with the left foot because that's his primary weapon. And he probably thought he had, but when you look at it, he just overcorrected on the right-hand side. Lockie's job there, any defender's job there, is to take the player away from goal, and particularly if it's taking them away onto their less preferred side. So it's a fine margin criticism of Lockie Jackson, but the real damage was done with a really poor turnover from Esposito.
We are still in this first half at Polytech Stadium, around about 5 minutes left before half-time. However, lightning in the area around Gosford means that there will be a delay of at least half an hour. The Central Coast Mariners, through that goal to Ali Agler in the 35th minute, do lead the Melbourne Victory 1-0. Don't go anywhere, because hopefully we won't be too far away with more football here from Polytech Stadium.
Just a quick reminder, we do request that all fans vacate your seating bowl where possible. Please make your way towards the back of the grandstands or into the concourse where possible. Safety is absolutely paramount here at our Paradise Polytech Stadium, and to encourage you all to remain as safe as possible.
Welcome back to Polytech Stadium in Gosford. No, it's not half-time between the Central Coast Mariners and Melbourne Victory. The game has been delayed because of lightning activity in the area. It was dry to start proceedings between the Mariners and the Victory. However, around about 35 minutes into the game, the rain started to come down, and then about 5 minutes after that, we saw a bolt of lightning, and then Tim Danaskis, the referee, calling a halt to proceedings. Here are the results from the Isuzu UTE A-League men's competition so far this weekend. Wellington and Melbourne City playing out a 2-2 draw, in Adelaide drawing 1-1 with Macarthur on Friday. But all the action really started yesterday afternoon, didn't it? The Jets with a 4-1 victory over Brisbane Roar. The box office Jets. Sydney FC turning around a disappointing week in the Big Blue with a 4-1 win in the derby over the Wanderers. And then Perth Glory, the late show in the West with a 2-1 win over Auckland. As I mentioned, Ali Agla scoring for the Mariners in the 34th minute here before Lightning brought a halt to proceedings. Let's go back to see what happened yesterday afternoon, and it was that young Newcastle Jets side. They are absolutely purring for Mark Milligan, and they got the job done. The first time in the club's history that they have won 5 in a row in the A-League, and they are top of the pops. 4-1 victories over the Brisbane Roar.
As Clayton Taylor in front of Bazanas, this should be a penalty. Alex King does not hesitate. He points straight to the spot. And it's rolled goal from Rose. And Newcastle lead inside 18 minutes. Dobson, Burgess, Dobson, somehow denied. He can't quite believe it. And it is Eli Adams. Oh, it was a torpedo, and it almost ripped a hole in the back of the net. Bertolicio works into a pocket of space. Adams, early ball. Taylor! There's number 18 in Newcastle colours for Clayton Taylor. And he's got goals in his last 3 here in Newcastle. And Valkanis's header! Brisbane have one back. And that's how quickly things can turn. Dimitri Valkanis with his first A-League goal. The Jets fell asleep for a split second. And the Roar believe once again. Just see how this plays out. Rose, Bayless! He's got another one, Lockie Bayless. 2 in 2. And no sooner had Brisbane got one back, the Jets restore the 2-goal buffer. Western Sydney on return from injury in the last few weeks. Here's Clayton Taylor. All delivery gets side down. What colour will this be? Long. He's already got one in the first half. His afternoon's over. Brisbane Roar will finish with 10 men. And he scored. Burgess. That time shoots. Bayless! The box office Jets. They are humming. Has got a career double for the first time, and they're going to make it 5 straight wins for the first time in A-League history.
Millsy, 5 games, 1 in a row, a new club record. How proud are you of this group for achieving that?
Yeah, I'm super proud of the group. I think today was a professional performance, and I think defensively we were outstanding. Obviously disappointed with the goal that we give away in terms of the fashion that we gave that away. But apart from that moment, I thought defensively we were excellent tonight.
A career double for Lockie Bayless, Clayton Taylor, LA Rose. The goal scoring list goes on. Such fluid attack. How impressed are you as their coach?
Yeah, look, they work hard. I think we can be much better in our decision making in that front third. So yes, I'm happy with what they did, but I think we can be a little bit more clinical in those moments in terms of our decision making. But yeah, of course, they work so hard, and they said tonight, it means nothing more than a reward for tonight.
12,000, over 12,000 in the crowd tonight. You could feel the energy. I'm sure that meant a lot to you in the coach's box. But can you talk to us about just how valuable they are to the performance at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. You know, we've said from the very beginning that we can't just expect that our fans come and watch us. We have to do everything we can to earn that right, and that's not just us as a playing group or the football department. That's the work that everyone behind the scenes is putting in as well. Everybody in the office who works so hard every day to show these fans, to prove to these fans that, you know, what we're saying is genuine in the direction that we're heading in, that we're together.
Well, we heard that the direction was entertainment, and that is absolutely what you delivered tonight. So many goals. What do you make of the box office Jets tonight?
No. Like I said, it was a better performance than last week. It was a very professional performance, I thought, tonight. But again, you know, our mentality has to be that now it's done. We have to work again tomorrow because, like I said, we've definitely got things that we can work on.
You head away now to Adelaide and Perth. How do you keep that momentum going away?
Yeah, it starts tomorrow. It starts with how we come in, the mentality that we have. Like I said, people just see the weekend and the football. They don't see the desire that these boys have to push each other, to push me, to push our staff every single day.
Well, thank you so much and well done.
Thank you, cheers.
Michael, a tough night tonight for Brisbane. What were your thoughts on the overall performance?
Really, really disappointed. I think we didn't turn up from the beginning. I felt like that straight away. We're not the team we've been all season. We'll have to pick ourselves up because we've had a tough period and we need to turn things around and we need to become the team that we were from the beginning that everyone feared.
Was that red for Chris Long right at the end just a sign of how frustrating this game was?
Yeah, I think it was a sign of a lot of individual mistakes today. And it shows that a lot of people didn't turn up mentally for the game because that shouldn't happen either. So there was a period where I thought we got ourselves back into it when we scored that goal and we made it 2-1, and then again a lapse of concentration, a lapse of focus, and we let Newcastle back in where we could have turned things around. But that was our day today and it's not good enough and I'm not happy. And we'll work hard to turn around, especially for our supporters that even travelled here and for all our supporters back at home.
Well, how do you turn it around now as you head off to face the Mariners next at home?
Oh, look, we're all accountable, even myself. I'll put up my hand. I'll take responsibility. We've got to push ourselves more and find that intensity that we had. And intensity is not only the physical intensity we talk about. The intensity is the focus here, which I think was missing today. And we need to be ready for the fight. You know, a lot of people talk about we were all thugs. We weren't really thugs. We're always ready to fight and give ourselves 100% in every game. Where today I felt we weren't quite there. We were second best in a lot of things. So we have to really look at things deeply and turn things around quickly.
And just quickly, you did mention that there was that momentum shift in the second half. What did you say to the boys to turn things around? Because there was that moment there where they scored a goal and you thought things were turning.
I told them we've had our warm-up, now let's get ready to play, and that we're wearing maroon. That's exactly what I said because I wasn't happy at all. And look, it's probably one of our worst performances. So we need to learn from this quickly, and it's a good slap in the face for us as a team. And we'll fix things. There's no doubt about it because we've also shown what we can do. So it's not like we're starting from scratch, but we'll turn things around.
We really appreciate you chatting to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Welcome back here to Gosford, where there is a lightning delay between the Central Coast Mariners and Melbourne Victory. The Mariners leading 1-0 with just under 5 minutes plus stoppages left in the opening half. But Andy Harper alongside me, Glenn Lauder, we just saw the highlights of the Newcastle Jets 4-1 victory over the Brisbane Roar. We heard Michael Valkanis was disappointed. We heard Mark Milligan keeping a lid on things, Andy Harper, but he's going to find it hard to do so over the next few weeks because they are the box office Jets. They've got so many young, exciting players in that squad. We heard the excitement from Ben Homer and Daniel McBreen in Newcastle yesterday afternoon with over 12,500 people there, the biggest crowd they've had since the 2018 Grand Final. They're top of the league, and the excitement and the belief is really building in Newcastle, rightly so as well, because the brand of football they're playing, Harps, is just so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mark Milligan quite clearly has done a fantastic job in his rookie appointment as a head coach. And so you know, the focus is going to be on him as much as his young players. How does he, as a rookie coach, manage this? It's a big test for him. I've got no doubt he's up for it, but still, time will tell. And the way he's brought this team through, and the standards that, and the behaviours and the habits that upon which he's insisted and that have become manifest, is really, really impressive. Perhaps it's a good thing that they're away next weekend, and what a game that's going to be. So, on Sunday evening, and put it in your diaries now if you hadn't already warned yourselves, Adelaide hosting Newcastle. I guess it's the battle of the young guns, the two youngest teams in the competition. It's just going to be brilliant. I'm so happy for the Jets. There's a lot of things that we could do better in the game, but the basic transaction is if your team represents your community and they like what they see, they'll come out and support you. No more so anywhere than in Newcastle. Unbelievable sporting town with a deep football history. We've got a couple of newer kids coming through in the team, which is something that's been overlooked for 20 years. And finally, the door's been opened to some local kids, and there's thousands more there who can see this opportunity and believe that they can be a Jet. And if the club maintains this position, in fact, improves this stance of open door for the locals, then McDonald Jones Stadium will be full more often than it's empty. It was a fantastic day for them, and it was poor for Brisbane. Michael Valkanis was excellent in his interview, but if you're slightly below where you need to be, which is where Brisbane were, the Jets in this mood are going to expose it. Just a brilliant day for the Newcastle Jets and that army of football people in the Hunter. They love it, and why wouldn't they?
It has to be said, obviously, losing Jay O'Shea in the first half really made things a lot more difficult for the Brisbane Roar, going off with that hamstring injury that does look very concerning for Michael Valkanis, the experience of Jay O'Shea. But take nothing away from that Newcastle side, because you're right, after some lean years, after some ownership turmoil, after a few years in the wilderness of not knowing where the club was going to be, of course, the Maverick Sports Group coming in and taking control of the club, Mark Milligan coming in as well. The Central Coast's only an hour away, looking at their northern rivals, knowing that they did go through some hard times as the Mariners were at the top of things and winning back-to-back championships, that the Central Coast are maybe now finding themselves in a situation 2 or 3 years later than the Newcastle Jets did, and keeping their fingers crossed that they find themselves in a situation that Jets are in now as they go down the path that they are on at the moment, still looking for a new owner. The APL saying that the Central Coast has plenty of interest in it, around about 12 interested parties, and hopefully a new ownership will come on board at the Central Coast, and we can see the success that Newcastle is producing here on the Central Coast as well. At the moment, there's not much success, there's not much football to talk about, because Lightning is continuing to delay this one between the Mariners and Victory. Nali Matsu has been keeping a close eye on things down in the tunnel. Our sideline reporter has been chasing all the latest action, and Nali, things don't look overly positive down there. What can you tell us from the dry and safety of the tunnel?
Well, I can confirm, Glenn, that there has been a strike within 5 kilometres. So that means that 30-minute timer resets each time.
Yep.
And every time there is a strike within the 10-kilometre proximity, the timer continues to reset. The Thunderset cell is actually above the venue at Polytech Stadium. So we are expecting an over 30-minute delay. Now, the Mariners, no strangers to weather problems here at the Central Coast, but this break perhaps has come at the perfect time for Melbourne Victory, who trail a goal. But for the Mariners, they'll be eager to get back out there. Now, if there's no strikes within 10 kilometres for 30 minutes, there will be a warm-up, and then the play can commence.
Thanks, Narlene. And unfortunately, as you were speaking, we did see what looked to be another strike. So we'll wait and find out from the officials as to whether that half an hour will restart again. But yeah, you mentioned the weather here in Gosford. Of course, 2 weeks ago against Macarthur, their Saturday evening match had to be postponed because of over 150 millimetres of rain at Polytech Stadium in 24 hours. And the ground staff did a wonderful job to get the game going again on the Sunday afternoon. But no luck with the weather over the last few weeks. The Central Coast Mariners, a delay with about 5 minutes left in the opening half. The good news, I suppose, from the Central Coast Mariners' point of view is they do lead 1-0 over the Victory, although they will now be sweating that this game doesn't get postponed and replayed, because this goal from Ali Algler was an absolute cracker as Andy Harpreet just drew in Lockie Jackson, and then a wonderful strike inside that back post.
Yeah, good goal. Been in good goal scoring form before his Mariners career began with Sydney Olympic. one of the issues in the game from both teams from time to time has been really cheap turnovers, and this one from Esposito ended up being really costly. It's an expert finish. There's another bowl to line next, so reset your clock as we're talking. And the Mariners, you know, they had some good moments. Bizarrely, this was the first time they'd actually tested the goal directly. That caused a few little nervous moments for the victory in defence from corners, etc., but they hadn't actually gotten an effort on goal until Augler let go with that left foot. It was a beauty and a goal worthy of separating two teams at the 40-minute mark. And now we're with this weather system, we're with the bureaucracy of the rules, which by my interpretation means that 30-minute elapses, then there's a warm-up, then players play 5 minutes, then there's 15 minutes of half-time. So we might be here, we might be doing next year's New Year's Eve game here at Gosford tonight.
Let's hope not, Andy Harper. Let's hope that this cell clears quickly and we can get things back on, but it won't be for at least another half an hour. Don't go anywhere, because we will be back with more from Polytech Stadium as the rain continues to fall, and we'll have an update for you just to see what's going on the other side of this break. We'll also bring you all the action from last night's Sydney derby. Back soon. Welcome back to Polytech Stadium in Gosford. Not half-time between the Central Coast Mariners and the Melbourne Victory, but a lightning delay with around about 5 minutes left in the opening half when the referee, Tim Danaskis, brought a halt to play. At that stage, the Central Coast Mariners had been leading 1-0 over the Melbourne Victory in a replay of the 2024 Grand Final here at Polytech Stadium. Not all the fans are disappointed. There's some smiles around, but unfortunately for the most of the fans here, the delay continues. We understand that if there are no more lightning delays, then the two teams will be back out on the field warming up at 6:35 Eastern Daylight Time. That is in 25 minutes from now. They will have a 10-minute warm-up and then play will recommence at 6:45 Eastern Daylight Time. Of course, that is all incumbent on no more lightning strikes around within 10 kilometres of Polytech Stadium, where Ali Agla's goal in the 35th minute gave the Central Coast Mariners a 1-0 lead over the Melbourne Victory. On the live ladder, the Mariners would jump above the Western Sydney Wanderers, who, of course, came off for the back of that 4-1 defeat last night over the Sydney FC. They're crosstown rivals. It started well enough for Western Sydney, but it was the midfield of Sydney FC. They got the Sky Blues home in another Sydney derby to remember.
Perhaps the first attack, just to cut you off with Fraser, the shot, oh goodness me, 41 seconds, and Ryan Fraser has blown the derby wide open. Well, he's only new to Australian football, but it looks like he's been here for years. The red and black bloc have a new hero. He's a wee man from Scotland by the name of Ryan Fraser. It's given away very cheaply by Kankar. Now Campuzano with the chance to level it. Oh, through the legs of Thomas. How did that squeeze through? And inside the opening 10 minutes, the Sky Blues are level. They must scarcely be able to believe it, though, the fans up the other end. Simmons. The cross deflected, Cruyff is there, Fraser as well. He looked for control and precision. The ball bouncing around and poked home by Marcel Tisserand. And the giant Frenchman, who's been nursing a stress fracture in his foot for the last month, the big Frenchman returned from the interval. It's his second goal of the season. And Sydney FC have their noses in front. Cicluna, it's a nice ball. Barello, shot on target, patted down and then claimed by Harrison Devonish-Mears. Space on the right-hand side for Quintal. Grant ahead of him. Akon still going. Quintal takes over. Oh, it almost opened up on the left. Quintal still deflected twice. And Sydney have a third. Thiago Quintal and fans, young and old alike, celebrating Sky Blue. The home side with a precious 2-goal cushion 10 minutes into the second half. Akon wins it back. And then stumbles a second time. Still has the ball. Quintal deflected again. He's got his second. Well, it's a night this hometown hero will never forget. Thiago Quintal has almost certainly ensured that the derby will be Sky Blue this evening.
Ufuk Talay joins us now. Ufi, I mean, it's a bit apocalyptic. You've had an incredible result. The heavens have opened in front of 34,000 fans. But how good does that feel? Congratulations.
Thank you very much. The feeling is definitely great. Probably didn't want to start the game the way we started, conceding so early. But I think the boys showed very good character this evening, and also I think we played some really good football tonight. And you know, glad for Marcel to get a goal, Victor to get a goal. He's working so hard, and T to get a double as well. So definitely we'll lift the group, and we continue to look forward.
Ulfi, there were a lot of comments we saw flying on both sides this week. Pantazopoulos after the last game. I mean, the crowd responded, right? That's what we want to see, and everyone buys into it. But the comments about Sydney being weak last time, expecting the same this time. What did you think firstly about that, but then what had to change to reverse the result from last time?
Yeah, look, it's all part of the entertainment, Broski. I don't have social media, so I don't see that stuff, but I'm sure the players do, because they definitely do. We tried something a little bit different this week. Even before the game, we tried something a little bit different. I brought the players' mothers into the change room and told them to feed off them, because, you know, sometimes the love that we get is under conditions. When we win, we're great. When we lose, we're not. But from them, it's always unconditional. And I really wanted them to see, you know, their boys and be proud of their boys, of what they're achieving and what they've achieved in their careers. And I think there was good buy-in, because I think the players loved it. I think it was a great experience for the mothers as well to be in the change room before the game. And the boys knew that we needed to lift against an opponent, our direct rivals in our own town. We're playing at home, and a very important 3 points for us.
Well, you're going to have to invite the mums into the change room every time now, Ufi, because it was a wonderful performance, and a player who really stood out was Tiago Quintal. A word on his development and growth this season in particular?
Yeah, look, I think Tiago came on last season in a few games. He came in the last 10 minutes, and he comes on and he influenced the game, and we need him to, you know, now we're using him and we need him to be able to do it for 90 minutes. And there's times where he feels a little bit tired, but then he gets his second wind and goes a game, and then he can only get better at what he does by playing games. And younger players will be inconsistent at times. They'll be up and down. They'll make mistakes, but they'll only grow by playing more games.
In the last couple of weeks, tactically, Ufi, you probably didn't have an outlet out wide. Lolly's been injured. You didn't use Akon out there, but tonight he was outstanding, stretching the team in a wide area. Is that the message for you going forward, that this side needs to have an attacking option out wide to stretch teams a bit more?
Yeah, look, definitely. We had Alassane injured, Abel injured, Joe injured, so 3 of our wingers were injured. You've got to also remember Akol's still 16. So there's a lot of expectation on his shoulders to come and perform. And you know what? I think he carried that pretty good tonight. So, you know, he's probably the most mature 16-year-old that I've actually worked with. So, and he's got no fear. He's fearless, and he went and played his game. He takes the information and he tries to, you know, go out there and do it. So, yeah, look, it's nice when we get our wingers back. You know, hopefully Al will be back for Adelaide. Abel will be back soon as well. Joe got some minutes in the leg as well, which was very important. But we have to adjust. When we don't have wingers, we have to adjust to the players that we have. We always try to put the players, you know, where they can use their best attributes more often rather than less. And if we don't have wingers at times, we can't play with wingers. We can't force boys to all of a sudden turn into wingers when they're not.
And would your only piece of advice be to Tiago, don't flip over the hoardings just in case, you know, because we need you, mate?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
We all held our breath. Ufuk, congratulations.
Thank you
Go
very
on,
much.
enjoy it.
Cheers,
well done.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Well, Gary, the ultimate start, of course, inside 40 seconds, and then it all turns pretty quickly. What went wrong from there?
Yeah, look, there was a number of things that went wrong. I mean, in regards to the way that we wanted to build up, the distances in regards to the way in which we wanted to pass, the connection, and then on the transition, we were too far away because of the length of the pass that we're making. And we spoke about it at the beginning of the game. We spoke about it during the week, but unfortunately, it was left in the shed.
Is there a concern that maybe in the second half, as things went against you, heads dropped a little bit, intensity dropped? Was that an issue as the game wore on?
No, I don't think so. That so much, Garby. I just think that at the end of the day, structurally, we weren't where we needed to be. You know, we needed to have a case where at times that the back line was starting to drive with the ball and start to create overloads in regards to that. And like I said, the passes were way too long from the back line into the midfield, so we got disconnected. Ball got caught out, and then you're in transition and you can't recover at times, right? And then some of the defending in and around the box, yeah, sure, it's a bit unfortunate with the deflections and things of that nature. You cop one on set pieces, and, you know, and obviously the first goal changes the momentum a little bit as well, right? But it doesn't take it away. I mean, we came in at 1-1 at half-time, and we were lucky. We were lucky at 1-1 at half-time. And to be fair, we got what we deserved.
We spoke about the physical side of the game being so important. It got feisty on a few occasions out there tonight, but they had some teenagers who did really well, Tiago Quintal and Akon. Were you perhaps found lacking in that part of the game a little bit more tonight than in November?
No, look, I think the fact that they kept the ball so well in the first half, because we were so far off, right, sort of set it up for the second half in regards to fatigue. And then that only just starts to build and build and build, okay? In regards to them starting to be in a position where, you know, off the field they want to, you know, aim up a little bit. On the field is where you aim up. Don't worry about that off the field stuff. That's nothing, those skirmishes. What you need to do is aim up on the field in the first place, right? So, again, look, we'll go back to the drawing board, debrief and review, and then we'll get ready for the next week.
Your club was happy to spark up the war of words during the week and put a lot of things out there on social media. We love it. I don't want to discourage it at all. But it also puts a target on the back at times, and if things don't go well, it leads to plenty from the other side. What do you make of that approach from your players and your club during the week?
Oh, look, if you talk the talk, you've got to walk the walk, right? Okay, so that's just how it is. And look, from the perspective that we wanted to be on the front foot and we had all intensive purposes of doing that, it's one thing, talking about it, but at the end of the day, you've got to live it. We'll learn some good lessons from this.
Thanks, Gaz. All the best.
Thank you.
A disappointed Gary Van Egmond after the Sydney Derby. We are in Gosford, where there is a lightning delay between the Central Coast Mariners and the Melbourne Victory. Around about 5 minutes left in the first half. Ali Agla with the Mariners goal in the 35th minute to give the Mariners a 1-0 lead. We are around about 15 minutes away from the two sides returning to Polytech Stadium for warm-ups, and about 25 minutes away from the first half recommencing, with about 5 minutes left in that opening half. Before we get some more from Narlene down in the touchline, Andy Harper, let's get back as we see the Mariners getting ready to get back out there for that warm-up, which is good news. Let's get back to last night at Allianz Stadium. We're there alongside Robbie Thompson for the call. It all started brightly enough for the Western Sydney Wanderers, but that midfield of Sydney FC, Kisbay, obviously the two goals as well for Quintal, and the youngster Akol Akon was amazing as well. Where did it go wrong for the Western Sydney Wanderers, and where did it go right for Sydney FC?
Well, I can't sum it up any better than the two coaches. The interviews with whom were brilliant. I mean, so good. The football was a highlight. The occasion was a highlight. And the strength of the Sydney Derby in the sports culture of Sydney is so solid. And that's including the difficulties that the league has had in the last couple of years, and hopefully starting to organise to re-emerge from that. Although the loss from the Wanderers and the manner of that loss last night isn't going to help their particular current state of mind. But it was a brilliant occasion. Both teams delivered in the lead-up. Ryan Fraser delivered in the first 40 seconds, and then it was all set. But Sydney were excellent. They needed to bounce back. They've had 2 weeks, 2 losses on the bounce. The Wellington loss at home when they could have gone top, and then the very disappointing performance from their viewpoint against the Victory in the Big Blue. So there was a lot to be lost, not just a home 3 points, a lot to be lost by the Sky Blues. But they showed their strength, and I guess if you're putting the two clubs together at the moment, Sydney win these games because the fabric of the club organisationally is just a lot stronger. I mean, they've got the trophies to prove it. And when the whips are cracking, it's the Wanderers who are wilting at the moment. Now, we like to think they can rebuild to that sort of strength, that tensile strength again, the Wanderers, but evidently they seem to be a way off that at the moment. And in the battle of the tensile strength between the clubs, Sydney won and they smashed them in the end. It was a really good performance. I agree with the assessment that they had some very sparkling patches of football. Individuals really enhanced their careers. And just to refer back to those 2 excellent interviews, what a brilliant story. I hadn't seen that grab of Wolfie explaining the mums in the change rooms, and that was a beautiful thing. Not only is it a great idea, the way Wolfie told that story and recounted that to the audience was brilliantly told. This actually brings sport into the real life, and the players are not robots. They go out and they try and entertain us. They want to pursue their own careers. They want to win trophies. They want to earn a living and provide for their family. And the demands on them and the expectations on them are big. And that goes with the territory. No one recoils from that. But at their heart and soul, of course, they're people. And the way Ufuk positioned that story, not just the idea to execute that, but the way he positioned that story and told us, I just thought was excellent. It just put another great little seal on what was another big night for the league and an even bigger night for Sydney.
They were known in the early days as Bling FC, weren't they? But of course, Ufuk Talay building that culture around a family club and knowing that that culture is so important to getting the best out of the players as well. It is wonderful to see. And I tell you what, don't miss the 11th of April. So put it in your diaries now, because the war of words, Anthony Panthazopoulos, of course, chief stirrer before the game. There's been a bit of social media reaction from the players on Sydney FC's side following the game as well. That next instalment out at CommBank is going to be remarkable. And the atmosphere watching at home last night was just so good to see. It was what Australian football is all about, and both sets of fans, credit to them. We are around about 20 minutes away from a restart here at Polytech Stadium. The Central Coast Mariners lead the Melbourne Victory 1-0 thanks to Ali Agla's goal in the 35th minute. There are coaching staff of both sides out on the field, just about getting them ready to get out for a warm-up before Andrew Durante does get out there with the Melbourne Victory. He's with Narlene right now.
I'm joined by Melbourne Victory assistant coach Andrew Durante. Firstly, Andrew, frustrating to have the delay, but do you almost feel like it's come at the perfect time for your side?
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a blessing, and we spoke about that just then. We haven't been at the races. We started really well. I thought the first 10 minutes we were excellent. We had some really good opportunities. We didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and then we became sloppy. We became sloppy with the ball. Our decision-making was poor. We got caught in transition, you saw from the goal, and it just wasn't good enough. It's not who we are. It's not what we want to be, and yeah, we were able to address that now.
You and Arthur Dillis on the sideline were calling for more forward passes and to not be so passive. Why do you think it's not quite clicking in the final third?
Yeah, I don't know. At the moment, it's been really frustrating sitting on the bench, because one thing that we're really good at is winning the ball, playing forward and getting in behind defences. And we've got players like Santos and Grimaldi that are good at getting in behind defences, but at the moment they haven't been doing that enough, and we've spoken about that. So hopefully when we get back out there, they start getting in behind this defence.
And what's the atmosphere currently like in the dressing room? Because it's an odd situation, right? It's come 5 minutes before the break. You're going to have to go back out there, warm up, then come back again. So how are the boys feeling?
Yeah, look, obviously really annoyed at themselves, probably with the performance that they've gone out there and dished out. So it's a good moment for us to stop, reflect what went well, what didn't go well. We've looked at some video already, so for individuals, they've already seen what they need to fix. They're well aware of what they needed to fix, but it's good just to show them and speak about it. And yeah, we've asked for a reaction as soon as we get out there. Even this 5 minutes, we want a reaction.
One man who will be looking to definitely get in amongst the opportunities, and this is Juan Mata. We know how incredible he's been in lifting the standards off the pitch, but what about off it? What's the impact he's had on some of the younger players?
He's an incredible leader. We're blessed to have someone of his calibre and what he's done in the game, and even now in the change room, he's the first one to say it's not good enough and we need to be better. And you know, he speaks to individuals about what he thinks they need to do. We all collectively speak about that, but look, he's a fantastic guy, fantastic leader, and not always the most vocal, but you know, when he speaks, people listen. And yeah, he just said we just need to be better with the ball. There's actually so much space to play, and we're actually in really good positions. We just need to be tidier on the ball.
And how handy is it to have some youngsters like Keegan Jurasic to come off the bench and provide a spark if need be?
Yeah, we've got great firepower coming off the bench. We're really lucky as a football club to have so many great youngsters as well. We've got Jing Reese, we've got Keegan Jurasic, we've got Charles Nduku as well, who might get his first taste of A-League football. So exciting players to come on off the bench. And yeah, look, hopefully they can come on. Nish Valupale as well. So yeah, look, we've got a bench ready to come on and make a change if we need.
Roderick Miranda, he is coming back from injury. What's his fitness currently like, and how important is it to have him in defence?
Yeah, look, he was really close to being selected last week. He felt he was just a little bit short, so we didn't want to risk it. But incredible player for us, great leader. We've got him now in the change room, which is great, although he's on the bench. But you know, maybe has an impact later in the game. He's a fantastic servant for this football club, and when he speaks, another one but players listen. And he was in there straight away, making sure everyone was organised and knew their roles and responsibilities.
Thanks so much for chatting to us. Best of luck when you go back out there.
No worries, thank you.
Well, there you go. We heard from Melbourne Victory assistant coach Andrew Durante, and the second, play will commence after this short break. You'll be joined by your commentators once again, Glenn Lauder and Andy Harper.
to Polytech Stadium. We are just over 10 minutes away from a resumption as lightning has brought a halt to the Central Coast Mariners clash with the Melbourne Victory. The Mariners leading 1-0 with around about 5 minutes left in the opening half. And the two sides only around about 3 minutes away from heading back out onto Polytech Stadium for a warm-up, and then 10 minutes ahead of the resumption of this one. Three big games yesterday, the big wins for Newcastle and Sydney FC, and then leaving it very, very late in the West, the Perth Glory upsetting the ladder leaders Auckland. Jaden Kucharski getting it done in junk time at the back of the second half.
Right now, the starting 11 might be able to create a chance as Taggart slices the ball out. Randall. A little darting step. So good from Randall! Oh, what a goal! Jesse Randall! And on the other side of the world in Scotland, they'll be watching saying, how good was that from Jesse Randall? And in living rooms around Auckland, there might be a few people being awoken by the gasps as they take a 1-0 lead away to the Glory. Here's Kolikovsky with a shot, saved by Sale, and the flag goes up. So instead of a shot on target, it is only an offside. So hearts set racing, but unfortunately for Ollie Sale, that save won't go on his stats because it was offside. Lawrence's corner to the back post. What a chance. Adam Taggart puts it over the bar. Had the header and could not keep it down.
It was a standing start. He gets rid of his defender in Louis Vestrata, and then he just can't get over the ball.
Lawrence went for the knuckleball, but it already started too wide, so when it swung away, it swung even further away from the target. Abreu sends the ball back to Wooden. Good run from Kucharski. Good touch from Kucharski! Jaden Kucharski brings the Glory level. And are we on for another late night Perth special?
Well, the super kid once again becomes the super sub.
To Brook. Again, he wants his left. Telegraphed that he was teeing it up for Vestrata. And so through came Abreu. Pushes it out to Kolikovsky. Could Perth Glory go end to end? As we tick into the last minute of the 90. Square ball from Kolikovsky. Kucharski! He is dynamite! Jaden Kucharski! He has brought the Shed to life at the end of the night! All in celebration for the Glory! They've come from behind to lead 2-1 thanks to Jaden Kucharski!
Just wow.
Griff, just what the doctor ordered, hey? It seemed like it was a game of two halves, but you guys just steamed home, mate, with that result.
Yeah, that's what we said at half-time, that the win was going to be in our favour in a very tiring conditions, and we felt like that we were still in this game, and we showed it tonight that we really powered home and got some momentum.
Talk to me about it. It felt like the first half was somewhat cagey for both teams, that they were kind of thinking a little bit of Auckland looking like they could jump to the top of the table, and you guys being in touch with that top six or a point away. Was that a little bit of the thought in the start of the game, you thought, with the players?
Yeah, they're a very good defensive team. I felt it was very cagey. I felt the pitch got quite dry after the hot wind. It was harder to move the ball as fast as what we'd like. And then obviously they sort of, it was back and forth, and I felt like their goal came out of nowhere.
Now, they say that managers make their money with their tactical approach, but in particular the subs they make. Talk me through your subs, because the goals all came through them. Giovanni won the ball, plays Kolikovsky in, and Kucharski gets on there and scores a double tonight.
Yeah, all three. We've been waiting for them to get, especially JK and Collar, to get fit and get ready so then they can fire. We knew they had a certain amount of minutes in them. But yeah, both really good characters. Love them both. And Jer's a little bulldog, and He knows exactly what I want, and he delivered.
I'm going to ask you just quickly, it looked like there was a bit of afters between the coaching staff there, mate. Was there anything in that?
No, not really. I highly respect Bimby, and I think he's a very, very good coach.
Good on you, mate. Go and enjoy that. Bimby, talk me through that result, mate. It felt like it was a game from the sideline of really the two halves. You guys looked so in control, defensively so sound, and then in a matter of the last kind of 15 minutes, it fell away.
Yeah, obviously disappointed, obviously, with the 2 goals we conceded in the second half. It's happened against Melbourne City. We were 1-0 up at half-time as well, and then lost the game. Similar today. You know, one long ball for the first goal. We didn't deal with it very well. And the second one, obviously, we lost it up at an attacking opportunity and got caught on the counter, and, you know, Kucharski took his goals really well.
I know how hard that travel is. I haven't done it myself. I know you guys have been here prepping since Thursday. Does that feel like the perfect kind of prep, or do you feel like sometimes that catches up you with the jet lag and it's quite hard to come out of the traps?
No, I think we started well, so that's no excuse. No, I'm not using that as any excuse. We always travel 2 days before any away trip. Obviously, this is a bit of longer travel for us. We had to go through Melbourne and then to Perth, but again, that's you know, it's not the way that I want to speak about the game and using that as an excuse.
Talk to me about Ollie Sale. The game had a bit of everything, but losing your goalkeeper at that crucial moment, how is he, first of all, and how much of an effect did that have?
I don't know, to be honest. I think maybe his knees dislocated, I think. That's what I heard. Obviously, we lost him, but we also lost Nando early on in the game as well. So 2 obviously subs we had to make that probably we didn't want to do at the time. And, yeah, in the end, we got punished.
Well, we wish him well. They didn't look good from the sidelines, and we wish you well, mate, and your travels back in your next game. Good luck for the season.
Yeah, disappointed Steve Corica after that late show from Jaden Kucharski. Saw Perth Glory heading up the A-League ladder. The Central Coast Mariners off the foot as well. At the moment, they lead the victory 1-0. And the good news is we are not too far away from a resumption. Narleen Masto is pitch side. And the good news is, Narleen, you don't have a brolly, so conditions have improved. What's it like down there? And what have the coaches had to say to you?
Absolutely. Warm-ups have finally commenced, and chatted to Central Coast Mariners Danny Vilkovic from their coaching staff, and he did say what was said in the dressing rooms. They're very pleased with their defensive structure. They're quite solid and happy to take that 1-0 lead, which is a position they don't often find themselves in this season. But we heard from Melbourne Victory's assistant coach earlier as well. Juan Mata has been one of the vocal players in the change rooms, calling on more aggression, more forward passes as well as they look for that equaliser. So plenty to look forward to as play commences. Back to you, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks, Narleen. Great to see plenty of Mariners fans staying here at Polytech Stadium as well. Of course, it is the last night before school goes back in New South Wales, so it could be a late night for the kids, but they're still here, Andy Harper, because the Mariners have the lead. Ali Agla with a great strike just before the delay.
Yeah, the fans are still here, Glenn, because they're defending a lead. Had they gone behind, maybe the couch and an early night for school tomorrow had a stronger pull on their interest. But they're here with the players to defend this and maybe go further. Great finish, sloppy from Melbourne Victory. And they had so many good moments, close calls as well on the victory goal. But in the end, it was their own mismanagement and poor execution which really put them in the dock. And Ali Agla's finish with an exclamation mark at the end of that. Excellent work from them, and the Mariners now very tough to shift when they've got the bit between their teeth.
It's been a strange old weekend in terms of the ladder, hasn't it? Of course, the Newcastle Jets went to the top of the pile with that big win over Brisbane. Auckland had the chance to return to the top, but slipped up on that long road trip to Perth. Of course, Steve Corica speaking about how they had to go through Melbourne and not using it as an excuse, however. So Newcastle will end the weekend on top. The Central Coast Mariners, as it stands, are off the foot of the ladder, one ahead of the Western Sydney Wanderers after that defeat in the Sydney Derby. And you can see their Perth Glory up to 19. If they didn't beat Auckland last night, if they got beaten, they would have been back down there on 16 points. But they have opened up a nice little buffer over the chasing pack at the bottom of the ladder. We are only a couple of minutes away from Proceedings resuming with just under 5 minutes remaining in the opening half. The Central Coast Mariners with Nathan Paul returning to their starting lineup this week. He came off the bench in Auckland last week after returning from the Australian under-23s. There is the goal scorer in Ali Agla. He has been playing beautifully on the right-hand side, Savit Noor on the left, and then, of course, up top with Ollie Laval and Miggy DiPizio doing all sorts of work for the Central Coast. Their XG of just 0.1. It doesn't matter because the Mariners do have the lead. The Victory with an XG of 0.53 and possession almost 60%. Jason Davidson, their captain and left fullback, has been doing a lot of hard work in the midfield. Denny Jean Rowe has been linking well. And then Nikos Virgos looking for support from Juan Mata in behind, who has had an outstanding opening 40 minutes so far. Ably assisted by Matt Grimaldi, who's looked really good in the middle of the park for the Melbourne Victory as well. So it has been an arm wrestle. The Mariners have had good periods in this opening 40 minutes. The Victory have tried to wrestle things in. It really has been a game of transition. 2 corners apiece, and the Victory, probably the biggest stat, 46 final third entries, 15 touches inside the opposition box. I guess Arthur Dillis there on your screen, Andy Harper, he would be hoping that this side probably does more with those incisions that they have had into the Mariners' final third.
Yeah, look, the Melbourne Victory output in that first half, sloppy on a couple of occasions, but incisive on others, and they could easily have scored a goal themselves. And he's had to keep the wolf from the door a few times this year, Arthur Dillis, particularly when they were on that losing run and at the bottom of the table. The team has stuck together, the whole organisation has stuck together, and they're in a much healthier position as things stand, but it might be even nicer had they taken those chances. But his job in that break, and very interesting to see how either of these teams address these 5 minutes. Andrew Durante, when he was talking with Marlene, said we actually need to reassert ourselves even if it is just 5 minutes. Let's see if that's the way the Mariners play it, or they go out just to hold what they've got and get back in the sheds and relaunch for the second half. It is going to be a bizarre set of circumstances over the next 20 minutes, but that's the way it's been, weather-induced. Thankfully, the storms have passed and we're getting ready for the resumption. So a lot for Victory to gain out of this, and probably even more for the Mariners to hold on to.
It is really fascinating, isn't it, to see how both teams readjust after the delay, how psychologically it has an impact on the players as well, and how both teams treat it, whether it's the start of a whole new game. Obviously, the Victory need to say, well, we're down on the score sheet, so we just have to start again and get this opportunity to refresh and reset. The Mariners want to keep their foot on the accelerator. They have won 63% of the aerial duels, and the battle between Chris Donnell and Denny Jean Rowe in the middle of the park, also Juan Mata, but particularly those aerial duels of Chris Donnell, the aerial presence that he has had at the defensive midfield position for the Central Coast Mariners. He has been really good since his arrival. The former Fulham Premier League 2 captain comes with a really high pedigree. We are going to be starting with a drop ball with the Victory slightly inside the Mariners half, and Tim Tanaskis, the referee, is just making sure that we are ready to go, with the Mariners still leading 1-0 and about 4 minutes and 15 seconds plus stoppages out from the half-time whistle. Now, we don't have something like 45 or 46 minutes of time added on. The clock has stopped, so we'll have a regular amount of time added on. We are back underway, which is wonderful news. The Central Coast Mariners with a 1-0 lead over the Melbourne Victory after that significant lightning delay here in Gosford had brought a halt to proceedings, and full credit to the hardy supporters here at Polytech Stadium that have remained and continue to get behind their Central Coast Mariners as they look to get a rare win this season. Warren Moon hasn't had a whole heap to celebrate, but he has a really good record against the Melbourne Victory. He's only lost 1 of 12 games in the opposing dugout, which is quite remarkable. And the Victory have to turn the tide of recent form against the Mariners. They haven't won here in 7 years. And of course, one of those losses was the 2024 Grand Final, that 3-1 victory for the Central Coast Mariners. But Andy Harper, of course, it is really now about readjusting. Do you get the feeling this sort of 3 minutes before half-time is just about getting through that break and starting again?
Well, the other consideration is how much added time had accrued in that 40 minutes, which has to be played. They restarted from where the game stopped, and the added time that was going to be included will still have to be added. So we don't know. It's 3 minutes plus. The players have come out certainly with the spring in the step to see if they can make amends, but it's the Mariners with the first incision.
Yeah, here's Ugler again. Lockie Jackson was just about to have flashbacks, but he plays the ball to Laval, and then flying through is DePizio, but he can't get his header on target. He's frustrated with himself. Whacks the crossbar in frustration as he comes through. That's a gilt-edge chance.
Amazing chance. Ali Ugler again, just driving and then releasing. And Laval with beautiful touch delivers it. Lovely work. DePizio needs to do better there. He's had time to measure the run. He just got underneath it. He needed to leap and get over the top of it. And it had been 2-0 for the Mariners.
He would be really disappointed with himself there, Miggy DePizio, that he doesn't get that one on target. He knows how big of an opportunity that would have been to go 2 up heading into a half-time break. It does seem rather cagey to continue proceedings. Just trying to think of any stoppages that we did have in that opening 40 minutes. Of course, the Ugler goal would add some time on. Weren't too many injuries to discuss, so maybe a minute or two. A bit of overtime tonight in Gosford. Great way to end your weekend when too much football is never enough. Nathan Paul half clears, and then really well done from Donnell with Denny Jean-Rowe bearing down. Savit York can break for the Mariners now. More transition. Laval will look to stay on side here. The arms were up there from New Orleans, but play will continue. I beg your pardon. It was Esposito. And now Moragas for McCalmont. That was another positive transition from the Central Coast, which is where they've looked lively this evening. And a lot of that joy has come down his left-hand side. Moragas has been key to a lot of it. Here he is on the ball again. Low delivery and reaching out, but unable to quite get his foot on it there, Laval. Could have been a third in 2 weeks for the former Western United striker. Arthur Dillis thought that Mata was brought down illegally by Donnell. The referee says no, and Donnell can link up with Ugler. Here's DePizio. The Mariners certainly looking the livelier of the two since the restart. Nathan Paul getting forward. Now the ball in from Moragas, overcooked. And Ali Ugler is unable to keep that one in. So it's a goal kick.
Well, it was the Victory who needed to come out of the blocks for this resumption, and it's the Mariners who've got the juices flowing. So much so that Warren Moon has become very frustrated that they haven't extended their lead. I'm happy that that's a clean tackle.
So just the 1 minute of added time in this opening half. We've had enough added time here in Gosford tonight as Nathan Paul hoofs one clear. Lockie Jackson came through with the forearm on Ugler. Ugler's happy to get up and go again, and Moragas tries to jockey that one over the byline, but it is really well done from the Victory to keep that one in play. Matt Grimaldi's had a really good half for the Melbourne Victory side, and they do maintain possession here with the final few seconds of what has been a bizarro opening half in Gosford with an extended lightning delay. Storm Roo with the last touch of the not quite first 45 minutes, more like the first hour and 15 minutes or so with that long delay. And Chris Donnell is just asking the question of Tim Danaskis. It all seems cordial enough, but it is half-time in Gosford, where Ali Ugler's 35th minute goal gives the Central Coast Mariners the lead over the Victory at half-time. It is the Central Coast 1, Melbourne Victory 0. Don't go anywhere, because all the action from the opening 45 isn't too far away on the other side of this break.
Well, we've finally reached the halftime break here at Gosford. It's Central Coast Mariners who head into the second half with a 1-0 lead, and it's courtesy of their new signing, Ali Ogler, who got things going at the 35th minute mark. There's all to do for Melbourne victory. Now, welcome to the Hungry Jacks halftime show. I'm Nalene Masto, joined by Andy Harper. Harps, before we crack into the exciting half we've seen, get your calendars out, folks, because these are the dates you need to note down. It's the Coppa Italia quarterfinal coming up on Friday between Atalanta and Juventus. Early kickoff time for that one. Then the Isuzu UTE takes us across the ditch as Wellington Phoenix will welcome Melbourne victory. And on Saturday, it's Auckland FC facing Sydney FC, who are hot off their derby win. Now, welcome back to Polytech Stadium, Harps. It's been a very disjointed first half. What have you made of it all?
Well, it was a frenetic last 5 minutes since the resumption, and I need a rest, quite frankly. Look, I don't know how the players deal with this. Lightning stoppages are a relatively new phenomenon. They certainly didn't exist way back in the dark days when I played. So I can't empathise, relate to how the players and the coaches have had to get ready for the restart. Evidently, the Mariners were better at the Melbourne victory. Victory had their chances and played some great football to start the game, but then for some reason the habits dropped, the positive habits dropped. They got into some really messy exchanges and fell on their own sword with the goal that was really well taken by Ali Ogler. Lightning hits, game stops. They come back for the 5 minutes, and it was the Mariners who should have gone 2 up.
Well, looking at our Harvey Norman highlights here, Harps, and it was Ali Ogler who got on the end of this, an incredible individual effort from him.
Yeah, so the game's been really busy in general, a lot of skirmishes, some really good physical battles around the place. Ali Ogler has played a beautiful role to me. He's sat out on this near touch line from the commentary position, left footer playing out on the right wing. It's where he picks the ball up. He's pretty much just parked himself here and been a spectator largely, and I've really enjoyed that role because when they've had the chance to get him the ball, he's been really creative. The 4 or 5 times, including the goal that he scored, he's fulfilled that role really majestically. And I think, given the exertions that he hasn't really had to go through, by my assessment, he can expect, and the Mariners fans can expect, a big second half from him.
We're now looking at our halftime match stats, and it is Central Coast Mariners with less possession, but they don't mind because of the threat they pose on the counter. Perhaps for Melbourne victory, they'll be looking to convert more of their chances. I mean, looking at the passes there, they're getting in the right areas, just needs to start clicking.
Yeah, so a lot of the highlights for the victory will tell the story of their near chances, but it's the Mariners. In fact, you know, Ali Ogler's goal was really the only time they actually got something on target. It wasn't the only trouble they caused the victory defence, but it was the only time they got something on target. Miggy DePizio's been busy and half-threatening. Sabat Noor has had his moments when he's looked like a real threat. Ollie Laval is a handful. I mean, he's started his Mariners journey in a very positive sense, and this is the chance on the resumption. Who was the architect? Ali Ogler again, drifting in from the flank, attracting attention with that beautifully deceptive left foot of his, and then it was Ollie Laval with a delivery into the penalty area, and DePizio should have done better. And it wasn't just that chance, then they had this one as well. 2 great chances since the resumption for Warren Moon's team to double their lead. That's a big worry for the victory. So the Lightning stops the game. Arthur Dillis has to give his team a dressing down, and Andrew Durante, as your great interview with Durante told us, the 5 minutes didn't work. They're going through the same business again now to try and get the spark back in their team. Well, this 3 points is going to go away from them.
Every time Melbourne victory have scored first this season, they've gone on to win the game. Now they see themselves behind, Harps, and heading into their second half, but they had this chance early on.
Well, these are the chances that I'm going to imagine are now part of the focal point of the discussion. Okay, we lost the parity in the game. They got the goal. Our resumption wasn't great. Okay, let's go back to the start of the game, guys. Mentally get back to the start of the game, where the passing was crisp, the movements were really precise. Jason Davidson won, Mata delivering from the left-hand side. Excellent, some good thrust down the right-hand side, and it's back to Nikos Fergos now. As a centre forward at the top of this team's formation, he's had enough opportunities to show what a striker does. He's had a couple of good games where he bagged his 5 goals and showed that he can actually potentially be lethal. He's got to get back into that mindset now. To do that, though, the team's got to get back to their general patterns of play in the first 15-20 minutes and get that constant supply into him. Then they can expect him to do his thing, to turn the striker and score, or to set up a supporting midfielder for them to score.
One Victory player who has been so productive is warmup, as he has been all season, and he had a brilliant chance in that first half, I should say.
Yeah. Look, I mean, you know, if you're running the APL, and we talk about this from time to time with the great players, Thomas Broich, Milos Ninkovic, Diego Castro, Alessandro Del Piero, now Juan Mata, etc. You would just clip every possession that he gets in the game and you'd send it to every kid in the country, because this is what technical football is. It's not necessarily about brilliant dribbling, although that's a subset of it. It's the way he receives the ball. It's the way he knows exactly what's going on. It's the efficiency and the deftness of the movement. Every kid in the country who wants to be a footballer, boy, girl, should be watching every piece that Juan Mata does. And in this next 45 minutes, if he can put a lot of that together and the team can feed him, then the Victory fans can rightly expect the supporting cast to do their thing on the back of Juan Mata's work.
Cracking first half, Andy Harper, and that was your Hungry Jacks at halftime show. Second half kicks off after the break, and don't forget, just 28 days to go until the Women's Asian Cup kicks off right here on Paramount Plus.
There's so many things I love about football. The way it brings people together.
We all play the same language of football.
It's just sweat that fills your eyes. And I think that this could be a really special tournament for us.
When you unite together for that one goal, it's something special that you just cannot get anywhere else.
Cara Cooney cross, nips the back, the long shot, and she finds it! And it's special! Huge moment for the Matildas.
The only place to see the Combank Matildas and every game of the AFC Asian Cup is on Paramount Plus.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere. You see, eToro really is everywhere. Join more than 40 million people worldwide and invest anytime, anywhere with eToro.
Say hello to the Ninja Slushie, the easy, convenient way to make frozen drinks at home. No ice means no watered down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour up the slush and enjoy. 5 one-touch logos for any drink you want. Transform almost anything. Enjoy perfect results every time. You can make it with the Ninja Slushie. Season of moments is good for what's going on. Enough power to draw up to 3.5 tons. Enough space for the whole team. And
Second half, not far away, Coaskies. Coaskies, make them welcome back to the field.
Welcome back to Polytech Stadium in Gosford, where the Melbourne Victory are trailing the Central Coast Mariners 1-0, and it has prompted Arthur Dillis to go to the bench. Nishan Velupillay, who came off the bench last week against Sydney FC, is introduced at half-time. So too is Geordie Valadon, who also started from the Pine last week on his return from the Under-23s Asian Cup. It means that Denny Genreau and Claris Maria Santos have headed to the bench. Their evening is over after the Mariners looked pretty impressive in midfield through that opening half. You just wonder whether the tall timber of Chris Donnell ended up proving a little too much for Denny Genreau in the middle of the field. But certainly Nishan Velupillay is such an exciting talent for this Melbourne Victory side. Geordie Valadon as well, of course, who had started every game this season before heading off with the Under-23s. So plenty of A-League experience being introduced at half-time by Arthur Dillis as they chase this one down 1-0 at half-time against the Central Coast Mariners, thanks to Ali Akler's goal in the 35th minute. Andy Harper alongside me for the second half of this one. Harps, what do you make of those two changes made by Arthur Dillis?
Well, he had to rattle the cage. We heard during the stoppage a very good interview from Narleen with Andrew Durante, the Victory assistant coach, that things needed to change and they weren't happy with losing the lead or losing parity, and that 5 minutes was going to be statement time. But it was the Mariners who reasserted themselves in the resumption. One excellent chance to go 2 up and another chance which was not as clear-cut but still a good one. And so the changes then were par for the course, you'd imagine. Arthur Dillis couldn't, having just redressed the situation in that break, looked at that 5 minutes and thought, I've got to make a point here. And he's done it.
Nishan Velupillay would be slightly disappointed with his first touch, just overcooking that one out for a goal kick. The Mariners with the wind at their back in the second half. The rain has started falling again after that long lightning delay in the opening half. But kudos to the hardy Central Coast Mariners fans who hung around to cheer their side on in this second stanza, and to the travelling Victory fans as well, who remain out in the elements. The Central Coast Mariners just trying to make an incision into the Victory defence. The Victory have pushed them back, and now with an opportunity of their own to press forward. Velupillay was looking to take the throw quickly, but decides to let the ball go. And now Valadon opening up the park for Esposito. Here's Rawlins on the right-hand side now. The Mariners did well in defending from the front in the opening half. The high press for the 3 attackers. And Storm Roo tries to keep that one in play. He's able to, but Ali Akler isn't at the second attempt. Just a right smile there from Roo. And you're right, Harps, those 2 chances for the Central Coast in that little tricky 4 or 5 minute period between the lightning delay and half-time, particularly Miguel De Pizzio's header, that would have made it really difficult for the Melbourne Victory to come back. As it is, they're only a goal down and pushing forward here through Valadon with plenty of space in midfield. Rawlins, the first-time header, can't quite find Matt Grimaldi. And the Mariners are able to win it back through Moragas. He keeps it in play, but then hands the ball straight back. And Valadon's looked lively since coming on. Here's Mata. Velupillay loses out to Donnell. And away he goes. Ollie Laval cuts back inside. Lockie Jackson. But on the follow-up, Velupillay's back there to help out for the Victory. End-to-end stuff it was in the first half, and it's starting to prove to be in the second as well. The inside-out pass from Mata. A good one for Grimaldi. Here is Mata again. They've linked up well throughout this match, these two. And now Valadon is very keen to get involved in that midfield party as well, isn't he? Here's Mata on the left foot. Valadon skips past McCalmont, tries to get the shot away, it's blocked. Only as far as Rawlins. Grimaldi's ball in, cleared by Nathan Paul. Bright stuff here from the Victory.
Yeah, well, that's better. A bit more intensity, and unsurprisingly, the centre point is Matter. Everything's been bounced off him. I mean, to the credit of the players, and they've had their moments of sloppiness, but still, well, they're consistent and resolute in their desire to run everything through the great Spaniard. And why wouldn't you? They're utilising him really well, and he's running things really well. It's just individual breakdowns have really hurt them, and the Mariners have got this resilience and strength about them. They're buzzing around them, and Ollie Laval's a handful. Savagnon, they're so young and fresh and athletic across the front line.
Valadon with the ball over the top, just sits up into the breeze. He's looked very lively since his introduction at half-time as well, as Geordie Valadon. Needed to change things up in the middle. Here's Rawlins. Aragas can intercept the ball that was meant for Grimaldi. And Savagnon is unable to win the throw for his side. Ball over the top from Grimaldi, flicked on by Burgos. Janelle is there for the Mariners. Important intervention there from Jackson. Now Dorigo and Mata again. Here's Burgos, was the onside first time shot, straight at Redmayne, and then the follow-up. Redmayne makes the double save, and the flag does go up. There were question marks over whether Burgos was onside. Andrew Redmayne wasn't to know, and he had to come up big.
Well, if this goes in, I reckon on that little glimpse, it's probably going to pass muster.
Yep.
It's a good effort. Lovely ball again. Just needed to go across the keeper more. It's not as easy as it looks. Easy to say, you've got to go across the keeper, but the ball dropping. You've got good force behind it. Unfortunately for Victory, it's straight at Redmayne, who's hardly going to miss that. Great Socceroo keeper.
It was certainly much tighter on that replay, wasn't it? I thought live that Burgos did look like he was slightly in front, but I think you might have been right, Harps. That went into the back of the net. We might have been all square. Here's Grimaldi. They come again, the Victory. Much better to start this second half. DePizio with an important intervention because Valadon was there with space. Mariners need to reset their banks as Melbourne push forward. Balupale tries to play the ball in. No Victory players there, but it does sit kindly now. McCalmont gets a foot in. He gets another foot in as well. That's so important for the Mariners because the Victory were just about lining up there. There's a player down in back play. I think it's Burgos. They will continue on here for the time being. Tim Danaskis has had a look over his shoulder. Lockie Jackson puts the ball out of play. And now they will go on and check the Greek striker. Seems to be maybe clutching at a rib.
Well, he did a very good job.
Now have a look at a penalty here. Did Nathan Paul overstep the line as he looks to clear?
And he did a very good job putting Paul under extreme pressure. He got the ball, Paul, didn't he? There's no penalty there. Unless he's claiming violent conduct.
And they might have been looking at the trailing arm. I don't think there was much in it. Has been cleared by Carney Robinson and Sam Kelly pretty quickly as well.
Well, it's a better start from Victory. This is the resumption they wanted. The other was a Clayton's resumption. And in fact, this is just a facsimile of the start of the match in general, when it was the Mariners who couldn't get a foothold, but with some open space looked like they might cause some trouble, which ended up being the case. But it's the Victory with the run of things as it was to start the football game.
Looking really lively here. Davidson and Balupale down the left-hand side. Balupale has Donachie in front of him. He goes back to Mata. The ball towards the back post. Grimaldi straight at Redmayne. Another really good opportunity for the Victory. If Grimaldi's header was anywhere else, it was in the back of the net.
That's a little timid, that, from Matt Grimaldi. Lovely delivery again. It wasn't straightforward. There was a bit of an impediment to Grimaldi actually addressing the ball, but still in the end it was a little timid. And the second chance, good one for the victory, straight at Andrew Redmayne.
They certainly are asking plenty of questions, the Victory. The Mariners looked good heading into the lightning delay. They look good heading out of the lightning delay. They haven't looked as good out the back of half-time. Now they have an opportunity through to Pizio. Lovely switch of play for Moragas. They scored against the run of play in the first half, and they're in the final third here. Moragas lays it off for McCalmont to Pizio, who started this raid. Newell leaves it for McCalmont. Cleared by Esposito just about. Calls possibly for a handball, more from the crowd than anything else. The Victory can break. Valupale sends Virgos through. Paul has to be big here. He brings Valupale down. Is he the last man? The referee is pointing for a free kick, and it's a red card for Nathan Paul. It was a challenge he just about had to make. He was the last man. Nikos Virgos was bearing down on goal, and I get the feeling that Tim Danaskis had little option but to go into the left-hand pocket and give Nathan Paul his marching orders. The Mariners down to 10.
Well, the Olyroos is hanging around for a stay of execution. Brilliant burst from Valupale. Fantastic use of the body from Virgos to get across. Nathan Paul's defence that this is just an accidental coming together. Sometimes that works in general play. But given the circumstance, striker in on goal, I don't know how you can escape. It's such good use of the body from Virgos. Paul's claim is that that's not intentional conduct or contact. Other times, other parts of the field, refs let that go for incidental contact. They're coming together is the terminology they use. But in this particular context, I don't know if there's going to be a reprieve.
It does look incidental. I think if Carney Robinson has a look at this, and if he does call Tim Danaskis over, then he would be looking at the feet coming together and also the arm of Nathan Paul. But he's making his way up the tunnel. Yeah, there was a call for a handball at the other end of the field, but I think it came off the fingertip of Davidson, who knew nothing about it.
No, that's that there.
And then there.
Off Josh Rawlins. Yeah, that's not going to...
No.
Nothing in that.
So Nathan Paul is heading for an early shower.
Excellent burst, sorry. I mean, if that bruises controversy, the Mariners will be annoyed. Decision made. But a great burst from Valupale. And Virgos has found the target, forced to save, but hasn't been a boisterous centre-forward performance today until that moment. It was superb use of the body.
Yeah, he just forced Nathan Paul into having to make that mistake, and it does mean that the Central Coast Mariners have to make a tactical change. Sabitnur has been sacrificed, and Bradley Tapp, who had started and played every single minute so far this campaign, is injected into the centre of defence. So they will remain with the four at the back. Sacrificing an attacker, leading 1-0, and with one Mata with a look at goal from 25 yards out. Louis Dorigo's over it as well. Andrew Redmayne building his wall, screaming instructions. A huge moment in this match. Nathan Paul sent off for a last man challenge on Nikos Virgos. Dorigo will leave it for Mata, and it's deflected over the bar. The Mariners' wall is built solidly by Andrew Redmayne. They give away a corner, but they maintain their 1-goal lead. Dorigo races over to take the corner and keep the pressure on. Storm Roo is telling Ali Agla to chase Mata, who'll go short. Lays it off for Grimaldi. He'll have a strike on goal. Redmayne, I think, has to tip that one over the bar. He does. It's another corner. And the Mariners are just about hanging on. The Victory, desperately seeking the equaliser.
Great pressure from Victory. Another good strike from Grimaldi. Good save from Redmayne. Hasn't missed a trick today. The teal wiggle.
Mata again towards the front post. Storm Roux comes together with Rawlins, and this one goes over the bar.
Well, here's the free kick. No touch from Dorigo. And it wasn't encroachment. Laval was a member of the wall. There was encroachment, but it didn't hit the ball. That player, was it McCalmont? Doesn't matter anyway. Well, it did for one. Mattered a lot. Good pressure from Victory. You get the sense they're building. They should have equalised by now. But if we're going to do coulda, shoulda, wouldas, the Mariners should be too clear.
There will be plenty of what-ifs at the end of this one. There have been many storylines. Wachowski can only half clear to McCalmont. Now to Pizio. The Mariners have been under siege through the opening 15 minutes of the second half. They hold on to a lead with 10 men. Will that missed opportunity in that little 4-minute period before half-time come back to haunt them? Donachie and Brad Tapp have played plenty of minutes at the back together this season. It's a familiar back four, but they will have to work a lot harder. Virgos goes to ground again, and it's Donachie showing starts. He goes into the book. There's another Victory player down. It's Mata. He gets back to his feet, but Virgos stays down.
Well, greasy conditions, highly competitive match. Players are going to be sliding or stomping all over the place. That one's not going to tickle. Nice big black toenail for Juan Mata coming. And there's the contact, which was that has correctly attracted a yellow card. No more than that required. Virgos with what has become, unfortunately, the customary rolling around, not just of him, but of many players. Not a lot in it. Clear foul, and that's it. Yellow card awarded. Victory roll on. They're looking very strong. How do they use this extra player? Not like that. Not with cheap giveaways. That was the start of their downfall.
Do win it back, though. Valadon. Mata just sneaking in behind. The Mariners are desperate here. The strike on goal from Dorigo blocked.
Excellent from McCalmont.
This is going to be some rearguard action because the Melbourne Victory are in complete control at the moment. You get the feeling that it is only a matter of when as they come forward again down that left-hand side. Valupale flicks one on. Half an appeal. Chris Donnell was the man that got close to that one. And now the Mariners get a throw at the other end of the field as Carney Robertson has a look at this.
Well, Juan Mata called for a handball. Did he control it with his arm?
No, it's hit the hip.
Gone through.
Yep. Fortuitously misses the arm altogether and comes off the hip of Chris Donnell. This is unfamiliar position for the Mariners this half. They give the ball straight back. Rawlins does well to maintain possession. Intelligently starting things again at the back. Valadon, who's looked so good since coming on, sends Valupale away. Storm Roux has to be strong, and he's appealing for a goal kick, and the assistant and the referee will give the Victory another corner.
Well, it's excellent pressure from the Victory, and it's excellent resistance from the Mariners. The good chases from Storm Roux. Thought he'd done enough here. Looked like it might have rolled out.
Mata, the outswinger this time. The header deflected and then tipped over the bar by Redmayne. Lockie Jackson thought he had a goal. Tim Danaskis telling everyone to calm their jets. Another important intervention.
Well, has to be alert, Redmayne. That's fairly routine, but nevertheless, he'll have to be alert. The deflection can often confuse.
But it's another corner. Mata with the in-swinger on this occasion. Headed clear by Taft. Only as far as Rawlins. Dorigo lays it off for Grimaldi. Blocked again by the Mariners. Sitting deep. Allowing the victory in. Mata sends it in the danger zone again. It's through this time. Dorigo will start again for the victory. Oh, lovely little turn. And now the shot was a low one. Looking for any sort of deflection was Rawlins. Davidson was looking lively as well on that left side. Still they come the victory. How long can the Mariners hold out is the question. Mata, the deep corner. Headed clear again, this time by Donachie, only as far as Valadon. He finds Mata again. Moragas has to be strong here. Dorigo with time. Is this one too close to the goalkeeper? It is. And Andrew Redmayne, one of the most relieved people in Polytech Stadium at the moment, takes it in the gloves, looks to send Laval away. Now, there is it coming together. Damascus waves it away immediately.
Oh, the Mariners fans up in arms. They're smelling conspiracy. Victory come away. Again, another corner about to emerge.
Unless Christinell can get there in time, he can. He gives away the throw.
This is exactly my point on the red card. That's just a coming together. Different context, however.
No ball anywhere near them. A devil's advocate would say. Grimaldi and Mata making the Mariners work hard in defence. Valadon. Dorigo. And for all of Andrew Redmayne's experience, you wonder whether that was the right decision to try to release Laval so quickly as Donachie scrambles it clear again. I know that the option was there, but in this situation when they're up against it, you think that maybe just slowing things down might have been the best option. Here's one, Mata on the edge of the area. Lays it off for Dorigo. Josh Rawlins. This has been a familiar build-up. Grimaldi again for Rawlins. Gets it past Moragas, but not past James Donachie. Another corner.
It's a great tussle. Victory are doing really well to prise open the gaps, and the defending in front of them has been excellent from the Mariners. What a great contest.
Their eighth corner. Mata to deliver. He'll go short this time for Dorigo. Grimaldi on the edge of the area. Thought about shooting. Valadon might do so. It's an awkward one for Redmayne. Bounces in front of him and a great save. Redmayne has been outstanding again tonight. But how long can the Mariners last?
A good strike from Valadon. That's great experience from Redmayne. And he read that ball as it skipped off the pitch.
Now one, Mata is hanging on the edge of the area as Dorigo delivers. It's a high delivery. McCalmont, it's half ahead on it, only as far as Rawlins. Scoops one back into the danger area for Davidson. Dorigo. Now Virgos, and it has to be, it is. Nikos Virgos is offside. It won't count at this stage. The assistant's flag is up. Nikos Virgos, 30, had an equaliser for the victory. It was a lovely header across the face of goal. But after all that defending from the Mariners, this time it's the assistant's flag to save them.
Well, let's see. Number 9 is what we're looking for. It does look like he's just drifted. It's a good header. You called it, Glenn. He's still got a touch on it. Redmayne frustrated that it's gone in, and then very relieved to see the flag of Emma Kochbeck going to the sky. The lead is preserved.
Now Andrew Redmayne is soaking up as many seconds as he's able to. Given the hurry up by Danaskis. Mariners just about need directions at this end of the field in this second half. Unfamiliar territory. McCalmont puts Tap under slight pressure. And with the forced substitution of Newell for Tap after the red card, Warren Moon has to be smart. Moragas, a rush delivery into the area, dealt with by Esposito. And Dorigo has space again. Defending with 10 here, the Mariners. 9+ Redmayne, that ball is too heavy, but Redmayne does have to come out. I think he's going to put this one out just about for a goal kick. Is that a shot on goal from Redmayne?
It could well have been. It's a poor decision from Velupalo, going direct to Virgos. That should have gone on the angle to Davidson.
Rawlins. Decent ball in, but headed clear by Bradley Tap. Rawlins has it again. Marta lays it off for Dorigo. Here's Valadon. Has a shot. Redmayne at full stretch, but he pulls the arms away as he sees it going past his left hand upright. And the 37-year-old legs of Andrew Redmayne. He has put in a shift this evening. Both sides will head to the bench. A double change, and it's Keegan Jelassic heading on for the excellent Matt Grimaldi. And it is a debut for the Melbourne Victory. Charles Nduka from the J3 is heading into the action, and Nikos Virgos is walking off at the southern end of Polytech Stadium. He arrives having scored 24 in 133 across the J3, including 7 in the last campaign across 28 games. And Ollie Laval will exit for the Central Coast Mariners. Nathaniel Blair heading into the action. And another debutant. It'll be Jacob Nasso, the 19-year-old, who was the Western United Victorian NPL captain, coming on for Ali Agla, whose goal so far gives the Central Coast Mariners a 1-goal advantage. So 2 debutants, 2 at different stages of their careers. Charles Nduka at 27 years of age, and an A-League debut and a senior debut for Jacob Nasso, who Warren Moon before the game said he's been training the house down. And every player who shows what they've got at training is going to get an opportunity in this squad. Oh, here's a chance straight away for Nduka. He might have brought it down with his arm. It's blocked by Donachie. Another chance here, and the flag will go up for the handball. And an offside as well. Tim Danaskis pointed to the arm, and the assistant's flag goes up. Well,
not quite the hand of God.
Is there an argument for further discipline? Booking perhaps?
No, but pinged for offside before that anyway.
Yeah. Now here's DePizio. Shoulders away from Rawlins, but he has to go back on himself. Moragas with some fast feet and then pushed over and wins the free kick. Keegan Jelassic just making him aware that he's got the fresh legs. Mariners with this attacking free kick, but not in a huge rush to take it now. McCalmont spots DePizio. Ball towards the back post. It's too deep. And the debutant, Nasso, wouldn't have been able to get there, but if it was a better cross, Nasso would have had a gilt-edged chance at his first A-League goal.
Well, the strength of DePizio coming through in these moments and working hard defensively, and then a quick chance to attack, and DePizio takes it, but didn't do much on that cross.
Well, it was certainly smart enough from McAlmont to see the run of DePizio. Let's get down to Narlene Masto, pitch side, Narlene.
Thanks, Warren. Well, I can certainly report on the fact that the Mariners' technical area has been more vocal than Melbourne Victory at this moment. Warren Moon and Josh Rose weren't happy with the fourth officials for some of those challenges, particularly the earlier one on Ollie Laval. A little earlier as well, constantly barking instructions and not quite happy with the fact his side were switching off at times. So, Harps, just a question to you on whether you think the Mariners should have perhaps given a little bit more priority to defensive signings in this January transfer window, just given the volume of shots they continue to concede.
Well, that's a great question, Narlene, but the volume of shots, to be more pointed in the answer, is a function of the circumstance here, going the player down.
Rawlins, and now the ball in. And Valupale with a great opportunity, but once again, straight at Redmayne.
It's a very, very good chance for someone of Nishan Valupale's experience and ability. But that issue that Narlene raises about the makeup of the Mariners roster is a discussion that will become more full in time. What their thinking is behind that, but for the here and now, for the 3 points that are so far in their keeping, it is going to be about absorbing as much pressure as they can. The shots can pile up on goal. Just making sure one of them doesn't go in.
Warren Moon might trademark that name. Here's Rawlins. Now an opportunity. But Bradley Tapp is strong on Jelacic again.
Which is, of course, why I dropped it, Glenn.
Yes. I'm just wondering whether Sydney FC's media manager might come back here.
That's right. That's right. Another corner.
Indeed.
The umpteenth.
10 corners to 2 in favour of the Victory. Juan Mata to deliver again. Towards the 6-yard box. Donachie strong. Only as far as Valadon. Here's Dorigo. Mata again. Valupale getting in behind. On this right-hand side now is Nishan Valupale. Dorigo is trying to drag an extra couple of Mariners out. That's a good interjection again from Vanel, who's worked so hard tonight. And then a shoulder across from Jelacic, who's certainly putting his body out there. Rawlins and Jelacic think it's okay, but the assistant says it was a little too physical.
Well, we'll see. I think it's just a throw-in. And Jelacic's point is, I didn't touch the ball. It's just a shoulder charge. Let's see. Shoulder to shoulder. He's right.
I did think, I thought I heard Tim Danaskis whistle. It will be a free kick.
Well, that's wrong. That's a wrong decision. Anyway, they happen from time to time. It's not going to end the world. But shoulder to shoulder is legal, and that looked shoulder to shoulder.
Andrew Redmayne getting the hurry up. Let's see how deep these kicks are on the back of the wind. Donnell, and now once again an opportunity for Nasso. He kind of snatched at that one, doesn't get a clean connection, but he's getting himself into areas. The Central Coast still have on their bench Kaito Taniguchi, who's come direct from the J-League. They're looking for another attacking outlet and put the game to bed, but at the moment it's all about defending. Nathan Paul sent off midway through this second half for a last man challenge on Nikos Virgos. The Mariners with 10 men and doing an awful lot of defending at the moment. Valupale on the edge of the area. Space for Orland's ball across the face. It's just tantalisingly out in front of Nduka, who was offside again. And the Mariners will breathe another sigh of relief.
I think it's Rawlins who's straight.
Yeah, he was.
Again, that's going to be a tight call. It doesn't matter now, they missed anyway. Rawlins couldn't get the correct touch on the cross. I'll tell you what, Emma Kochbeck's been busy tonight on the near touchline. Done a great job, apart from, if it was her advice to Tim Danaskos that Jelacic shoulder to shoulder was a foul. Otherwise, I like I said, that's right on the margins of critical decision-making. An excellent display by the assistant on the near touchline, and now.
Yes.
These are the moments so often in football. The team dominates in trying to get back onto the scoreboard against a stricken opponent who, despite the lead, is working as hard as they can to hang on to it. Care of a send-off, and then a moment like that, a Mariner likely now, if history's any indication, to pounce and score.
Well, it's the header from Lockie Jackson. It's gone over the byline for Alfie McCalmont to deliver the Mariners' third corner of the evening towards the 6-yard box. It's headed clear. Jelassic can get it at the second attempt. It was Esposito who got the head on it, and now it is going to be a booking for Moragas, taken quickly by the Victory. Just trying to break up play there because he knew the Victory were going to transition. They do so anyway through Davidson. Valupale with space. The touch is heavy. Blair doesn't know where it is. It's with Valadon. Chaotic as we head into the final 10 minutes plus stoppages in Gosford. The Mariners clinging with the fingernails to a 1-goal lead. Jelassic wins another corner. DePizio gets in front of him. The 11th of the camp of the evening for the Melbourne Victory.
That's an excellent recovery run from Keegan Jelassic. On Keegan Jelassic by DePizio.
Dorigo, he's going to shoot from range. Redmayne with a one-handed save. The 12th corner of the evening. Wonderful save from Redmayne. Yet again. His 10th of the evening. The delivery towards the back post. Jackson didn't know where it was. DePizio scrambles clear to Valadon. They have done a mountain of defending in this second half. Davidson. Now Valupale. Good interjection from Blair. The fresh legs for the Central Coast. But DePizio can only put it out for a victory throw. And Melbourne, despite the momentum, it'll be Arthur Dillis' side that go to the bench. And another former Mariner, Ching Reese. 3 goals in 21 games here in Gosford. Will come on, and that ends the section for Louis Dorigo, who has had a wonderful game in the centre of the park as well. And it's another striker. So Dillis knows they have to go for it. Just over 8 minutes in stoppages to see if the Central Coast can hold on. But the hinges are hanging on. There's barely a screw left in them. Melbourne do know that they can move into the top 6 with victory. They can move level on points with Brisbane if they get a goal, and the Mariners at the moment are off the foot of the ladder. Will they stay there over the next 7.5 minutes, and then whatever Tim Danaskis decides to add on, there will be plenty as well. There was, of course, the injury to Virgos, the sending off of Nathan Paul. Oh, beautiful bring down by Mata. Lays it off for Jelassic, who blazes over the bar. The Mariners celebrate a goal kick, but it could have been so much different for the victory.
Well, the rugged, committed defending of the Central Coast Mariners, just too much. Oftentimes tonight, the Victory's finishing technique has been absent. When it's been on target, it hasn't quite been what's required, apart from the headed goal, which was ruled out by Virgos. Just not sharp enough with their finishing so far. Still time, of course. But as every minute passes, the Mariners' bodies get more tired. Their mindset gets more emboldened.
22 shots to 6. 9 on target to the Mariners 1. But the Mariners 1 ended up in the back of the net. And at the moment, that is the difference. Melbourne Victory desperately bashing down the Mariners' defence, which is, of course, a man down following the dismissal of Nathan Paul. It's a deep ball through. Bradley Tapp. Oh, he makes a play at it. Thought he was hoping that that one would roll over the byline, but Jing Reese forced him into action. Nathaniel Blair, plenty of pace, not quite enough pace as Esposito gets back really well and nips in front of the charging Blair. Here comes Rawlins, the Victory again. Jelassic. Wonderful tackle by Bradley Tapp. It'll be another corner. 13 now for the Melbourne Victory. Just over 5 minutes plus stoppages. They come again. Rawlins, the outswinger. White shirts everywhere, but none on target. And it's Esposito with his hands in his head, knowing it's another opportunity lost for the visiting side.
Well, it's a break from tradition. Juan Mata leaving this corner, and therefore the left in swinger for the Rawlins away swinger. But it's the same outcome. A very committed block of yellow shirts doing everything they can, and so far succeeding, ensuring that that ball doesn't get past them.
Andrew Redmayne flying in the Paramount Plus Player Index. 50 points. We don't see too many of them in those high echelons. 10 saves for the Central Coast Mariners. It is Redmayne keeping the Victory at bay at the moment, but here they come again. Moragas with the header. Half cleared for Reese. McCalmont gets a boot on it. It ends up with Jelassic. Still they come, the Victory. Incredible domination in this second half of football after a long lightning delay in the first half. Jason Davidson to the edge of the area, dinks one over the top. Just about cleared by the Mariners. Does it fall? Falls for Storm Root, ahead clear. Davidson, desperation from the Victory. Valadon keeps the foot on the throat. Valupale gets past one. Oh, it's right in front of goal. It is a gilt-edged opportunity, and Nanduka is unable to find the back of the net. In fact, it goes backwards, and Jing Reese on the follow-up can't score. Incredible.
Perhaps not so incredible as Emma Kochbeck has flagged for offside again. Well, he does mass up brilliantly, Valupale, and then he ticks his moment.
And now Andrew Redmayne is receiving attention, not really surprisingly given how hard he's worked tonight. He might be looking for the pickle juice with those 37-year-old legs cramping up. Andrew Redmayne has had a wonderful evening for the Central Coast Mariners. 10 saves now for his side. 3 clearances. Josh Oloyemi was the last goalkeeper to pull off 10 saves. That was back in December for the Knicks against Auckland. Redmayne is happy to chew up a little bit of time as well. 2 minutes plus an increasing amount of stoppages for the Central Coast to somehow hang on. Victory fans aren't sure what to think. They can scarcely believe what they've seen in this second 45. Incredible domination. They've had 78% of the ball in the second half. 15 shots to 2. And so far, nothing to show for it, but there's still plenty of time, and they come again. And Duca, Bradley Tapp desperately diving in. Juan Mata has been outstanding tonight. Jelassic. Here's Valadon. Edge of your seat stuff. The A-League delivering again. What a weekend it's been, including plenty of late drama. So don't expect there won't be any here. It's over the head of Reese. The Mariners will try to break. Do they have the strength to? Do they have the gas left in the tank? Reese is going to give away a foul here as he drags down to Pizzio and goes into the referee's book. And that is something the Mariners will desperately welcome.
Well, there'll be no rush for the restart. Great work from Miguel de Pizzio. It's a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card, really. There were two other supporting defenders there. And 3 versus 1 should have worked in Victory's favour without having to give away that free kick and allow them just to bleed the clock.
Nathaniel Blair brings it down. This will be a Victory throw. The 4th official preparing to indicate how much longer the Victory have to find this equaliser, how much longer the Mariners have to hold things out. 6 minutes, still plenty of time. Melbourne Victory with 6 more minutes. And there was no one anywhere near Jason Davidson there. He trips over his own feet. Nathaniel Blair will look to send Miggy de Pizzio away. Defenders chasing desperately. Esposito. De Pizzio rushes his shot and slices it left-footed, well wide of Jack Wachowski's posts, who takes the goal kick quickly. De Pizzio needed to be much calmer on the ball there. They lead 1-0. They have 10 men. There was no need to rush. The Victory being allowed back in. Jelassic. Moragas holding him up for now. Here's Rawlins. Will look to send one in right-footed. De Pizzio's there again. He clips Rawlins on the way through. Esposito will go back to Wachowski. De Pizzio is working so hard to get the Mariners on the front foot again, but they will once again continue to defend here. A dangerous ball in, and Duca takes a touch. Redmayne is there, so too is James Donachie. That is a wonderful intervention by the Mariners' central defender, and the Victory are again denied. The corner taken to the front post. Storm Rue is the only man there. The clearance, but the free kick. Jelassic gives it away. Jacob Nasso goes down, and the Mariners have a free kick.
Incredible from Donachie. Big game for Big Dogs. He's missed a lot of A-League football in recent years with injury. But superb. De Pizzio on an output physically, at least. And it's Christian Theoharis as the relieving pitcher to see this one out for the Mariners. They're nearly close. Fans who've stuck around, and most of them have, even with the lightning delay, on the edge of their seats. Their team is about to do it again for them.
Are they? Are they? There is still 3.5 minutes to go, Harps. Christian Theoharis, 1 goal in 19 games for the Victory. Could he haunt his own old club? Wachowski is out quickly. They'll look to go coast to coast again, as they have done on plenty of occasions in this second half. They've had 19 shots since half-time, Melbourne Victory. There's still time for more. Just under 3 minutes. Josh Rawlins. They go back to Esposito. Davidson. Another important intervention from McCalmont. Wachowski, no surprise, is up sweeping. Headed only half clear by Tapp. It went into the back of Reese. Nathaniel Blair wanted to try to maintain possession. He was unable to. So the Victory had yet another opportunity here. Mata is dispossessed. Anywhere will do for the Central Coast at the moment. Chris Donnell is cramping up. The petrol light is on. They are coasting into the petrol station at the moment, the Central Coast. Will they make it? Valupale will take the throw quickly. Jing Reese falls for Mata. Thea Harris slips as he tries to clear. He's able to in the end. Wachowski is almost up to halfway. The 10 men of the Central Coast Mariners. Reese heads it down for Rawlins. Mata, Jelassic, ball through for Jing Reese again. He has to turn away from goal. Geordie Valadon has been so good in this second half. Time and space. Jelassic has his shot blocked again. Oh, Nathaniel Blair tries to hoof it clear and it almost falls at the feet of Juan Mata.
Well, Juan Mata's cracked up as well. And it's that left leg of his, which mightn't be much use from this point on.
There is less than a minute to go. Lockie Jackson is forward. He tries to have a shot. I'm not sure that was in the playbook. It's gone out for a Mariners throw. It is a better result from the Victory than a goal kick, but not much better. 30 seconds for the Mariners to hold on. The 10 men of the Central Coast Mariners against a Victory side with 80% possession and 19 shots since half-time. Is there one final chance? Anywhere will do. Donnell, it's only gone to Lockie Jackson. We are at the referee's discretion now. The 6 minutes has elapsed. Jason Davidson towards Redmayne. Is it cleared by the Mariners? Thea Harris puts it into Brisbane water just about. One final corner. Will there be time for the Victory? We're understanding that the video assistant, Kearney Robinson, is checking for a possible penalty. Was there a handball? Keegan Jelassic taking the corner in the meantime. It's outswung. McCalmont heads it clear. Tim Danaskas looks at his watch. He blows full time. That is one of the most incredible rearguard actions from a team in the A-League you'll ever see. The Central Coast Mariners, with 10 men for large parts of that second half, have held on to beat the Melbourne Victory. Nathan Paul sent off 10 minutes into the second half. Melbourne Victory with the weight of possession in that second half. The Central Coast Mariners have had to do it the hard way. Ali Agla's goal in the first half, and then a significant lightning delay. Arthur Dillis will be wondering how his side didn't find the back of the net in that second half. They did. Nikos Virgos had one disallowed, rightly so, for offside. Nduka on debut had plenty of chances in that second half. Victory players forlorn. There's very little in the tank between either team. An incredible second half of football on what really has been an incredible night in Gosford. Ali Agla's goal, 10 minutes before half-time, is the difference at full-time. Central Coast Mariners 1, Melbourne Victory 0. Well, an incredible second half. The Central Coast Mariners, led by the experienced James Donachie at 32 years of age, came up massively. Warren Moon will be an unbelievably relieved man. Handshakes for Nathaniel Blair, who was excellent when he came on as well. But let's get some immediate reaction with Nalene.
Andrew Redmayne